The three little ones eat 300 pounds of rocks every day, and I have to eat 200 pounds along with them. Don't let their adorable looks fool you. Once they bare their fangs, even steel bullets get crushed effortlessly. Don't be fooled by their fluffy appearance. Their fur is impenetrable. With my current strength, I can't even handle one Papuas, let alone three at once. Plus, they're extremely sensitive to the scent of their own kind's blood. If you hurt one of them, the other two will charge at you without hesitation. So taking them down one by one is simply impossible. To survive, I can only blend in with them. Whatever they do, I follow. The reason I came to this dangerous place is to make a lot of money. Becoming a returnee is undoubtedly the fastest way to get rich. 7 years ago, a mysterious tower appeared out of nowhere in this world. People get randomly transported into the tower. Later, only a few returned, and no one knows what they experienced inside, because those returnees refuse to reveal any information about the tower. But every single returnee becomes a highly sought-after person in society. They possess magical powers that ordinary people don't have, contributing greatly to society's development. Simply put, once you become a returnee, prestigious companies will pay top dollar to hire you. As a useless person, I never planned to get involved in this. Until one day I heard the orphanage was facing closure, and the old director could only hold on for 3 more years. Scenes from my time at the orphanage flashed through my mind. But even if I, Kim Jeju, worked 10 jobs a day, I couldn't earn even 1/100th of the orphanage's operating costs in those 1,000 days. If only I could become a returnee. The moment this thought crossed my mind, my phone started buzzing with notifications. My first reaction was that my phone got hacked, but curiosity got the better of me, so I opened the first file. The person in the video looked exactly like me. He was battling through level after level. I don't remember filming anything like this. The sudden appearance of Papuas caught my attention. I remember a returnee once mentioned this creature by mistake. When I saw myself standing at the top of the tower, I confirmed this was a video of my future self clearing the tower. The first video showed 2 years from today, so that should be when I get transported into the tower. To prepare for that day, I trained my body every day. I also memorized all the information from the videos. With this knowledge, clearing the tower would be a piece of cake. When the day finally came, I still wasn't completely certain. I could only pray that the portal would appear. The orphanage's future depended on today. Fortunately, after a long wait, the portal appeared as promised. I stepped through without hesitation. For difficulty, I chose hard mode. A wave of dizziness hit me. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in a small mine shaft. Thankfully, I'd seen this place in the video. I opened the system interface. It only showed viewer count and mission information. These viewers are other returnees inside the tower. They can enter live streams of floors below their current level and donate, giving the streamer trading currency. Those viewers are essentially making investments, because when their donated streamer reaches certain floors, the donating viewers also receive gold coin rewards. While some people might just be bored looking for entertainment, that doesn't matter to me. Seeing viewers enter my stream, I bowed. "Welcome to my live stream, big brother." The viewer named The Love immediately donated 1 gold coin. I quickly opened the shop. Seeing how sharp I was, he donated another 3 gold coins. He asked if I wanted to spend the coins right away. I said I needed to observe first. Since I didn't know what enemies I'd face, my wise decision immediately earned his follow. Of course, I had to thank him loudly. With 50 minutes of prep time remaining, he decided to check out other streams first. I waved goodbye, big brother. Make sure you come back. I was being so accommodating because of the follow mechanism. In this tower, each person can only follow one streamer. To follow someone else, you have to unfollow your current streamer, and reaching 100,000 followers gets you a special reward. Before I knew it, viewer count reached double digits. This was thanks to choosing hard mode. Newbies rarely grab attention otherwise. As prep time was ending, the chat became much livelier with people saying it's about to come out. I actually knew what they meant, but pretended to be curious. They couldn't spoil it, or they'd get kicked out by the administrator. I originally thought those returnees were intentionally hiding information, but the video showed me there's a powerful administrator in this tower. The returnees must have been threatened, which is why no tower information leaked out. As I pondered this, only seconds remained. I apologized to viewers, saying I might not be able to chat much during the challenge. This gesture earned their approval, and the big brother who first followed me returned to the stream. Time hit 0, mission, eliminate all enemies. I saw 3 spinning portals beside a boulder. The portals were so small. Maybe kobolds? While I was thinking, 6 adorable eyes appeared. I froze in place, speechless. Not because they were cute, but because beneath their cute appearance hid fangs that could bite through anything. Even the stream viewers didn't think I had a chance. 1 might be manageable, but 3 at once meant certain death. Because they hate anyone who harms their kind, taking them on individually was impossible. I understood the viewers' reaction. Though I knew the truth, I still pretended to ask if they were dangerous. The big brother said he'd check other streams, but I figured he might not come back. I tried to remember Papuas' behavior patterns. While they weren't aggressive monsters, this circling while ignoring me was too strange. I cautiously extended my foot to test. I could see they weren't attacking me, but were definitely on guard. I didn't want to fight them unless absolutely necessary, since I'd lose anyway. Best to see what they wanted first. So I followed them, learning to circle the rock like they did. During this time, I noticed the big brother who followed me had returned. Maybe he was curious why I hadn't died yet, but I also figured out the Papuas' intention. They wanted to fill their bellies with that glowing magic stone. Right now, they were just performing their exclusive dining ritual. I seemed to understand their mood now. This was them accepting me. If I wasn't mistaken, they'd invite me to share that magic stone. Sure enough, they stopped shortly after. Then they revealed those terrifying fangs. The seemingly indestructible magic stone crumbled under their bites. My heart sank, but I had to join them to survive. So I also grabbed the rock and started munching. Surprisingly, the rock wasn't hard at all. It melted in my mouth like chocolate. I immediately felt endless energy surging through my body. In under 10 minutes, we ate the magic stone down to crumbs. Then my body began glowing with a faint blue light. The three little ones danced around me happily. The viewers thought they were about to eat me, but the next moment they were all stunned, because the three little ones not only didn't attack me, but playfully climbed onto my shoulders. A window popped up. You have passed the trial, opening passage to the second floor. I didn't expect this would work, so turning enemies into allies also counts as eliminating them. But then I collapsed unconscious. After an unknown time, I woke to see the three little ones staring at me curiously. Their expressions seemed worried about me. Seeing me wake up, they became ecstatic. Stream viewers expressed disbelief. I opened the info panel. Surprisingly, viewer count had reached 127. After the shock, I humbly thanked them. Thank you, everyone. I couldn't have passed without you all. They wanted to know how I thought to imitate the Papuas. If I said I knew them well, no one would believe me. So I could only say fighting them seemed deadly. So when I couldn't win, I had to join them. In the end, I was just lucky. Barely managed to fool them. I pretended not to know about rewards. Said I planned to head to the second floor. Sure enough, they thought I was a clueless newbie. Everyone reminded me about unclaimed rewards in the chat. I looked confused as I opened the window. Clicked once and a gift box dropped out. The viewers seemed surprised by such a large reward box. I immediately opened it. Inside was a stone, a name change card, and a small bag. I first picked up the stone to examine it. The Papua beside me immediately rushed over. I quickly lifted the stone higher. This looked like a magic stone. Normal magic stones are transparent blue, but this one was white, so the viewers couldn't tell what it was. Trading it could get 5,000 gold coins. Feeding it to the Papuas would be wasteful. I could only gently tell them I'd give them something better later. The name change card and coin bag were pretty ordinary. I greeted the viewers. Big brothers, I'm heading to the second floor now. After speaking, I walked toward the portal, but the Papuas ran in a different direction. The viewers didn't know why either. I had to follow them to the stone wall. Without a word, they bared their big mouths, then started gnawing frantically at the wall. Soon, they'd chewed out a passage. I didn't dare enter immediately, but I heard them calling me from inside. After greeting the viewers, I crawled into the hole. The narrow passage kept scraping my skin. Viewers said it looked painful just watching. Actually, I felt no pain at all, more like being massaged by stones. In the dark environment, my arms suddenly glowed. I pretended to panic. What's happening, big brothers? But people just teased me. I knew this should be Knight's power from eating the magic stone. Returnees all changed classes on the 5th floor. The light I was emitting was Knight's power from becoming a knight, but as someone new to the tower, I couldn't reveal knowing about post-5th floor events. After crawling further, I finally emerged from the hole. The three little ones were discussing something around a necklace. Viewers told me to grab it before they ate it. That was my plan anyway. But when I picked up the necklace, the three little ones got agitated. This was rare equipment. Wearing it brought good luck and could prevent one death. I'd seen this in the video. The me there survived the 15th floor thanks to this necklace. But this should be equipment from floor 10 plus. Poor little ones had worked so hard. Still, I pretended ignorance, saying this obviously looked valuable. Stream viewers all teased me for being a clueless newbie. The big brother who followed me told me to wear it first. I had to say, this big brother seemed to have quite a status in the tower. Thanks to him diverting attention, I followed his advice and put on the necklace. Then crawled back. Reaching the portal, the three little ones insisted on coming with me. I was more than happy to have them along. I confidently stepped forward, but didn't expect. This looked like a coliseum. The second floor only had 10 minutes prep time. Without hesitation, I opened the shop to find useful equipment. But choosing gear depended on what monster I'd face. Since I chose hard mode, bad luck would bring a fire-breathing red-brown bear. Defensive weapons would be best. If I was luckier and got a sea serpent, just avoiding its tail and buying any weapon would work. Looking at the three little ones riding on me, if the first floor was this rough, the second wouldn't be simple either. But surely no impossible monsters would be set. Prep time ended quickly. The portal that appeared was small, maybe a sea serpent? Then it doubled in size. Just when I thought it'd be a red-brown bear, it suddenly grew more than 10 times larger. This was getting ridiculous. The three little ones were sweating nervously, and I was getting ideas. Next moment, the monster stepped out, making the entire coliseum shake. I never expected a super giant dragon turtle to appear on the second floor. Stream viewers were shocked too. This was clearly a 3-person trial monster. Though scared, I'd considered this possibility. I quickly searched the shop for equipment. Soon found the battle axe I wanted. Viewers didn't understand why I was still choosing weapons. I had no time to answer. I had to focus completely on fighting this big guy. Before it could attack, I charged first, but it was already lifting its foot. The giant foot slammed down, devastating the ground within 2 meters. Viewers thought I was dead, but when the dust settled, I was hanging from the dragon turtle's foot. I'd planned to jump onto its back but failed. Seems the magic stone didn't enhance my body that much. The dragon turtle glared at me angrily. Suddenly an energy wave shot from its mouth. I'd already drawn my axe and dodged its attack. Though troublesome, I was confident. After all, I'd memorized the dragon turtle video well. I quickly moved around its legs, then struck its hind leg with the axe. The dragon turtle screamed in pain. Its body rapidly pressed downward. But I'd expected this. After escaping its coverage area, it retracted all limbs into its shell. This wasn't cowardice, but healing mode. Because its shell was too hard, most people could only watch it heal. This was why dragon turtles were so hard to defeat. This was exactly what I wanted. While it was down, I leaped onto its back. Viewers thought I was a newbie, since only rookie newbies would think the dragon turtle's back was safest. Actually, the spikes on its back would explode once they glowed red, turning the spike-covered back into a graveyard for newcomers. The big brother donated 10 gold coins just to send a voice warning. But I kept moving around on the dragon turtle's back. Finally found a small enough spike. The axe went in halfway. Seeing this, I used Knight's power. This finally broke the spike off. I held the spike and waited there. Soon the dragon turtle's body began shaking. Its head reappeared in view. But it immediately ran toward the wall, trying to shake me off with collision momentum. I didn't dare be careless. I immediately drove the spike into its neck. There was only one chance. I hammered the spike into the dragon turtle's body with one axe blow. Maybe the pain made it scream, but the explosion immediately drowned out its wails. After the explosion, the dragon turtle lay motionless. Viewers wondered if I was dead. Soon I emerged from the smoke. The dragon turtle lay on the ground, barely breathing. Actually, I had to inject magic power to make the spike explode. That explosion was indeed powerful, but fortunately it was a close call. I looked at the still twitching dragon turtle, with sympathy in my eyes. Rest in peace, turtle bro. With that, the axe fell. Then came the completion notification. As expected, outstanding performance earned hidden rewards. The three little ones were bouncing in front of me. Looked like they really wanted to eat the dragon turtle's shell. Only after I gave permission did they pounce on it. The hard spikes and shell actually crunched under their fangs. Only then did I remember the livestream viewers. Seeing my performance, they suspected I was cheating. I really didn't know how to explain this away. Saying I was just lucky wouldn't convince them now. So I shamelessly bragged that I just felt strong and thought I could beat it. Of course, not all of them were fools. I had to say I'd check rewards to divert their attention. The reward was a magic stone and 500 gold coins, plus a subspace backpack that could hold 500 kilograms. This subspace backpack was pretty good for early game. Only hard mode had such rewards. I picked up the magic stone, discreetly put it in the backpack, had to grab their attention before they discussed magic stones. Now I had to check the hidden reward everyone was excited about. Another stone-like object dropped out. This was a level enhancement charm, could upgrade equipment by 1 level. The guy who said it was charity stopped talking. I told the viewers, this is obviously good stuff, I'll put it away. Some still told me to upgrade the axe, really treating me like a clueless newbie. Suddenly I felt dizzy and disoriented. They advised me to go to the 3rd floor where I'd recover, but I insisted on finishing checking rewards first. This was the reward for reaching 100 fans. Looking at 5 different attribute blessings, I didn't choose immediately. The chat had different opinions, but no one mentioned magic blessing. Magic is an ability related to mages and magic engineers, rarely used early on. So I understood why they didn't recommend magic, but how could mere mortals understand my thoughts? I decisively chose magic blessing. Actually, I wanted to become a magic engineer. Though this profession was very difficult just to get started, and was only considered a support role, but I'd seen a genius magic engineer's moves in the video. What man could resist mechs and lasers? Though I knew I wasn't that gifted, copying the basics should work. The 3 little ones had finished eating, didn't even wipe their mouths. I could feel them getting rounder and heavier. The dragon turtle was left with just skin and meat. I was barely able to stand now. Seeing nothing else, I walked into the portal. Immediately felt refreshed, all wounds had disappeared. The 3rd floor trial mission window popped up, though the 1st and 2nd floors were much harder than in the video. This 3rd floor was the same as the video. A portal appeared nearby. Fellow streamers, I've safely reached the 3rd floor, thanks for everyone's concern. I turned toward the voice. Seemed like teaming up normalized the difficulty. His battered armor showed he'd suffered plenty on the 2nd floor. Next moment he looked at me like meeting a fellow countryman, tears in his eyes. Hello, you're really human, right? I was speechless but answered, I'm human, looks like you've suffered a lot before this. He seemed to realize and immediately stepped back. Sorry, I was too hasty. Without comparison, there's no harm. Viewers unanimously agreed his reaction was normal for a newbie. Nice to meet you, I'm Hee Kai-kun. I awkwardly said my name was Kim Jeju. Sure enough, this guy laughed at my name. Then he weakly asked, Mr. Jeju, are those 3 little ones on you called Papuas? I openly lifted them to show him. Guess the viewers told you. He was truly a newbie, daring to get so close to examine the Papuas. But they all asked why I had Papuas here. I said they appeared on the 1st floor and got close to me for some reason. Ground tremors interrupted our chat. 2 stone giants emerged from the sand. I immediately pulled out my battle axe. If difficulty hadn't changed, their weakness should be the same as in the video. Simple mode has 1 statue, normal mode has 2, and hard mode also has 2. But you must defeat them simultaneously, or the fallen one recovers quickly. Before I could think more, the statue's spear thrust forward. Just the aftershock sent Hee Kai-kun, the real newbie, flying. I ran straight under their feet. The statue's shield came down. Any normal person would be crushed, but I was already gone, having slipped behind the other statue. I jumped 5 meters high, glowing with blue light, then struck the statue's knee pit. Its leg split in half, and as it was falling, a hand reached out. The other statue helped it up. Though their friendship was touching, I knew I couldn't delay. Soon the spear statue would recover. I suddenly charged forward. Without hesitation, struck the shield statue's leg again. One chop couldn't break it, so I chopped again. Finally, both statues fell. Hikaikun ran over. He couldn't believe a newbie could do this. Before I could explain, the statues suddenly moved. Their eyes glowed red. I quickly warned him to duck. But this guy was an idiot. He actually turned to look. I had to tackle him to save him from getting killed. While I was saving him, both statues had gotten back up. I never expected statues would throw spears. Now I understood they weren't finished just by falling. After figuring this out, I charged again. While they weren't fully upright, I ran and accelerated, then leaped in front of the shield statue. I used magic power to its fullest. Just one axe blow, split it in half. Then a giant hand attacked. I jumped down to avoid it, but it had another hand. Seeing the shield statue glowing with repair light, I knew I couldn't delay. So I kicked off and jumped to dodge its slap, then struck down with the axe. Cracks spread from its arm up to its head. It fell backward. Landing back on the ground, I didn't look back. That's the pride of a show-off. Sure enough, this time it only twitched a few times. The red glow in its eyes soon faded. Then came the completion notification. Seeing my spectacular performance, viewers donated gold coins. I immediately greeted them. Thanks everyone, sorry for the wait. Of course, this was just surface talk. The battle ended too quickly. I looked around, muttering about where the portal was. My confused act fooled most people. They thought I was a combat-skilled newbie. Following their advice, I headed to the church, but Hikaikun stopped me. Can we chat for a bit? But I just wanted to clear the tower quickly. Sorry, maybe next time. I ran off, leaving the poor newbie confused in the wind. In the church, I saw a scroll. The scroll described the fall of the Atiro Empire. It contained the warning, never anger the emperor. Most viewers didn't know what this was for. I smiled knowingly. This was a hint for the 5th floor. A portal appeared beside me. I said I'd check rewards before going to the 4th floor. They guessed this level was average difficulty with few rewards. Soon the reward box appeared. As they said, just a coin bag. They said the first 2 floors gave too much. This was normal. My face darkened. Hard mode usually gives 3 rewards. Suddenly an info window popped up. I opened my mouth in surprise. Who would expect exactly 5,000 gold coins inside? I happily told viewers this was great. Now I had 5,600 gold coins. Coins are especially important on the 5th floor. Only with enough coins could I learn more magical engineering. They reminded me the Papuas seemed to have problems. I turned around. The round Papuas had become flat. I anxiously asked if they were okay, but they wouldn't even open their eyes, since no one had brought Papuas up the tower. The viewers didn't know what was wrong either. Someone said they might be hungry, but on the 2nd floor they ate the entire turtle shell. I reluctantly took out the magic stone, but they still didn't react at all. Just when I was at a loss, the big brother donated 20 gold coins and sent a voice message telling me to go to the 5th floor first. Since they couldn't reveal later floor content, the chat just used that thing to refer to it. But even without them saying, I knew someone on the 5th floor could heal the Papuas. Time was critical. I picked up the 3 little ones to leave. Hikaikun finally caught up. Jeju, wait for me! I didn't want to deal with him, but couldn't just run off. I know you find talking to me troublesome, but I still want to thank you in person. If not for you, I'd be dead already. Thank you so much. Hearing this made me feel a bit embarrassed. Though I made no promises, I gave him motivation to survive. After all, whatever happens, you must live to meet again. I then carried the Papuas to the 4th floor. Mission, remove the seal within the time limit to open the gate. Failure means being trapped forever. But I knew this was no different from death. While you could buy food with coins, coins would eventually run out, and no viewers would donate to worthless streamers. I placed the Papuas on the ground and walked to the wall. This was an intelligence test level. In hard mode, there were 100 crystals here. I opened the shop. It was full of various foods. I knew this was the administrator's trap, designed to make newbies waste time on food so they'd run out of time and be trapped. I decided to voice my thoughts about saving money. All the haters jumped out, telling me to buy fried chicken and such. Some people defended me, saying they had no humanity. After all, the Papuas were still sick. I let them argue while I studied the seal. I knew the 4th floor required using hidden text and crystals to find patterns. Connecting the crystals would break the seal. The video version of me had suffered greatly from this, thanks to my future self. I now knew the crystal patterns, though at first my brain felt like exploding, but now I was smart about it. Treat each character as a number and memorize it like a password. The viewers thought I was randomly pressing, but when I lit up dozens of crystals, those fools were stunned. This was all from my hard work memorizing everything. At this rate, I'd finish in half an hour. Some people naively thought I was guessing. I was too lazy to explain. For the 3 little ones, I gave it my all. In just 10 minutes, I was down to the last crystal. I took a deep breath to show how difficult this was. As I pressed the final crystal, the 5th floor portal appeared. Someone donated 200 gold coins, seeing my speed. I explained I wasn't a member of Mensa or anything, but I'd never tell them I knew the answers. The big brother named the love was the best. He never interfered with my actions, only supported and encouraged when necessary. I said I had no time to explain, needed to check rewards and leave immediately. This time, like the 4th floor, it was 5,000 gold coins. Many people were jealous, but there were still reasonable people. With 10,000 gold coins, I could finally see hero-level skill books. I calmed myself and put away the coins, then carried the Papuas to the 5th floor. Though some newbies from my batch reached the 7th floor, I told myself not to rush, they probably chose easier difficulties. I walked through the 5th floor portal. If I showed extraordinary ability on the 5th floor, those fans would definitely become loyal followers, because the 5th floor had a special mechanism. Viewers couldn't leave the stream, and real-world time wasn't affected. I would become a character in the Atiro Empire. Another returnee would enter with me, and we had to complete the predetermined ending. I originally didn't want to choose this useless prince as my story character, but users in hard mode generally become important figures in the Atro Empire. Magic ability corresponds to the chief magician. Physical ability corresponds to one of the knight commanders. There are also non-combat professions like merchants. I saw the comments were all different, but no one suggested I choose the magic engineer ability. But they didn't know this was exactly what I wanted most. And magic engineering corresponds to the Empire's platinum mechanical engineer, which was practically tailor-made for me. I wanted to choose. Before I finished speaking, a selection window popped up. Are you sure you want to choose abilities related to magical beasts? I frantically shouted no. But the system made the choice for me anyway. So I was forced to transmigrate as the second prince of the Atro Empire. Among the characters with magical beast abilities, Kulitoplas. When he was 10 years old, he asked his father the emperor for a magical beast as a birthday gift, but got slapped instead and was scorned by his older brother. So he secretly built an underground space beneath his room. Bodeli helped him and promised to help him buy magical beasts. Later, when the emperor discovered his magical beast breeding, he could only tearfully burn those magical beasts to death. Later he got drunk and caused a scene in the streets, earning him the title of Scoundrel Prince. After reading the second prince's character setup, I was already quite unsettled, and I had to complete a coup within 7 days. This mission was absolutely ridiculous. The audience also expressed sympathy for me, but since it had already happened, I couldn't just sit there waiting for death. Generally speaking, if the mission is simple, you just need to focus on completing the task. If the plot is extremely difficult, then eliminating competitors would be a better choice. For impossible settings like becoming emperor, maybe I could do just that. After thinking it through, I called for someone to come in. I calmly commanded him, "Go call Bodeli over." The audience praised my acting skills. Soon after, Bodeli arrived. "Your Highness, did you call me because of the magical beast you brought back today?" Although I didn't know about this, it was best to play along for now. Then he had someone carry in an object covered with white cloth. I was also somewhat curious about that thing, but I never expected. Inside were actually the Papuas. I cursed myself for being inhuman, completely forgetting about them, but I kept a calm expression and asked, "Why do they look so listless?" I asked those magical beast hunters. They don't know what's wrong either, but I think they consumed too much magic stone. They should recover after some care. I was listening intently when he suddenly shouted, "Your Highness!" Then he excitedly grabbed my shoulders and shook me. "Why do I sense the aura of magic stones from within your body? What happened during the month I was in the north?" I pushed his hands away in disgust, saying I was fine and he didn't need to worry. How can I not worry? If magic power runs wild in an ordinary person's body, it could cause an explosion. Although you're lucky and your life wasn't threatened. But now the magic stone's aura has penetrated into your brain. If it continues to worsen, your emotions might completely lose control. You absolutely cannot consume magic stones anymore. I patted his shoulder reassuringly. "Don't worry, I'll keep your words firmly in mind." Seeing this, he bowed and took his leave. Before leaving, he told me the first prince was acting very suspiciously and I should be cautious of him. I said I understood, and that I would personally take the magical beasts underground. Only then did he leave with peace of mind. Bodeli was originally the second prince's mother's guardian knight. After the imperial consort died, he voluntarily became the second prince's attendant, so, for the second prince, Bodeli was the only helper he could trust. Then I walked to the bookshelf, just lightly tapping one of the books. A secret passage appeared before my eyes. I followed the stairs down to the dark underground space. The animals inside didn't reject me when they saw me, showing more of the joy of seeing their master. It seemed the second prince treated them well. I found a spot to put down the Papuas. I turned and left before they could react. "Sorry, Papuas, I don't know what will happen outside, so for your safety I can only put you here for now." The three little ones were obviously sad about my departure, but in their sickly state they couldn't do anything. He swings his sword 10,000 times every day, because every swing of his sword raises him one level. This is the world's favoritism toward transmigrators, which also made the man mistakenly think he was the protagonist. He was a swordsmanship instructor in the real world and chose hard mode right after entering the tower, so gold coin rewards came very easily. Thus he became arrogant. At this time, the audience reminded him that a visitor had arrived, and the visitor was precisely the character I was playing, second Prince Kaoli. I watched him with interest and he stared back at me foolishly, until the audience reminded him did he react. Then he knelt and bowed to me with clumsy movements. "Rise, your dedicated training for the Empire is truly gratifying." His eyes revealed cunning as he wondered if I was a user. But thinking about it, he felt it was impossible, because users usually only choose knights or magicians. He sheathed his sword and asked, "What brings you here?" The audience gave him good reviews for this performance. But I just smiled, actually, nothing important. I just suddenly remembered the wine you like. At my birthday banquet last year, didn't you keep a long face because we didn't have your favorite wine? So I want to have some sent to your house, but I don't remember what that wine was called. Li Shan Jie opened his mouth wide. He immediately searched the chat for useful information, then randomly said a wine name. It should be this one. I'll have someone deliver it to you tomorrow. Li Shanjie quickly thanked him, also feeling relieved about getting through this. But I suddenly changed the topic. What's your name in the Empire? Hearing this, Li Shanjie sneered and stood up. So you're a madman. Who exactly are you? My expression remained calm. Are you blind? I'm the second prince of the Atro Empire. He said even more angrily. I noticed you didn't even bring guards, so how dare you be so arrogant? Let me ask you one more question. How did you know I'm a user? I put a lot of effort into playing this character well. I said I had no obligation to tell him. Actually, this was all thanks to that petty second prince, who recorded everything in detail. At this point, Li Shanjie was very arrogant. What is he saying? Bros, did I hear wrong? I heard the second prince is trash. I just need one sword strike to end this game. You bastard are finished. Without thinking, he drew his sword. But then a shout came from the distance. What are you doing? This scared Li Shanjie into immediately hiding his sword. Your Highness, are you all right? I said I was fine. Bodeli's body trembled with excitement. I saw it clearly. That guy pointed a sword at you. I told him not to worry. I just wanted this person to demonstrate swordsmanship for me. Li Shanjie naturally had to nod in agreement. Bodeli asked angrily, then why did I sense killing intent just now? I quickly helped explain that I told him to use full force. Hearing this, Bodeli lightly patted Li Shanjie's shoulder. Watch your behavior in the future or no one can save you. Li Shanjie quickly said he would be careful in the future. Only after getting Bodeli's consent did he slink away. Strange, he wasn't like this before. The mighty Lionheart Regiment commander would actually panic like this. But I suddenly asked him, from what you say, you must miss the old days. Bodeli smiled with relief. You jest, Your Highness. After I swore loyalty to Her Imperial Highness, I've forgotten about the past. Hearing this, I smiled with relief. Then I told him to go back first. I wanted to walk around outside and relax. The audience all wondered why I didn't take the chance to eliminate him. That would have cleared the 5th floor. But I didn't want to clear it so quickly. After all, I hadn't even started touching magical engineering yet. When the time comes, if I can't complete the predetermined ending, we'll talk then. Meanwhile, Li Shanjie was panicking. He asked the audience for help. That person transmigrated as a prince. If he orders my elimination, I'm finished. His audience thought I was crazy for missing such a good opportunity. But some people also gave him reasonable suggestions. So he started investigating information about the second prince in Bodeli. Sure enough, he found what he wanted. News about 3 Papuas. The audience also connected it to me, because I was really too conspicuous on the 1st floor. Then someone else gave him an idea. Li Shanjie listened to them and came to the prayer room outside the city. At this time, Li Shanjie looked determined to eliminate me. It turns out the 5th floor had a hidden clearance strategy. As long as you reach the prayer room and say the name of a user participating in the trial with you, you can clear the 5th floor. Li Shanjie knew he could be executed at any time, so he had no choice but to use this move. A window popped up. Please state the name of the user participating in the trial with you. Li Shanjie said without hesitation, Kim Jeju. Are you certain this information is correct? Once confirmed, you cannot choose again. As Li Shanjie pressed confirm, the stone statue beside him immediately came to life. Your information is incorrect. The evil gods mock your wisdom and curse you. All skills you have acquired disappear. This made Li Shanjie shout at the sky in anger. Actually, he had come looking for me earlier. When he shouted my name, I was startled. Seeing my reaction, he smiled sinisterly. Then he ran away without looking back. The audience told me to catch him, but I didn't move, showing an intriguing expression. Some people were still confused, while others knew what I was going to do. I unhurriedly walked to my room. Then I took out my storage backpack and rummaged through it. Soon after, a nickname change voucher was in my hand. Without a word, I tore it in half. Then a virtual panel appeared before my eyes. Seeing the nickname change, the audience got excited, but I entered Kim Jeju 2% without hesitation. Does this mean Kim Jeju 1 is sealed on the 5th floor? The audience really knew how to joke. At this moment, I showed a sly smile. I know the knight's predetermined ending is to learn the essence of swordsmanship. And the price of failing the wisdom trial is having all learned skills formatted. That's definitely enough to make him suffer. If his live stream doesn't have audiences tipping him large amounts of gold coins, completing the predetermined ending would be impossible. Someone asked why I knew about this hidden method. I didn't explain because someone would explain for me, but they kept obsessing over my name. This really made me impatient. What's wrong with Kim Jeju 2? I don't have time to think about nicknames. I was indeed somewhat worried that guy would complete the mission early. I was just acting calm on the surface. At this time, noise came from outside. Seeing this, I opened the door to check. It was that idiot Li Shanjie, and the guards looked troubled too. Your Highness, could you spare some time to talk with me? I decisively let him in. But the audience's attention was on the guards. Clearly, they were the first prince's people. After entering, Li Shanjie angrily walked toward me. You bastard. Who exactly are you? I smiled playfully. Didn't I answer that before? Seeing this, he grabbed a nearby chair and threw it at me. I easily dodged it. Now he stopped hiding his skills, directly drawing his sword and threatening to cut me down. At this point, he could only fight to the death. But in my view, his movements were so slow. Was it because his skills were formatted? Then I easily grabbed both his hands. With just a little force, the sword in his hand fell. I said coldly in his ear, "When I spared you before, it was just because the situation required it. It's not that I was actually afraid. Do you understand?" Li Shanjie nearly wet himself. Having achieved the expected effect, I threw him to the ground. "If you understand, then get lost." Having witnessed my strength, he didn't dare linger here. I originally didn't want to push him to such a state, but he had to court disaster. The audience asked what I would do now. I also frankly told them not to worry. I could eliminate him anytime. Now my choices were to ascend to the throne or learn magic engineering knowledge. Eliminating him on the last day, though that way many rewards couldn't be obtained. In the video, I chose to be a knight, so I was playing the role of knight commander. But at that time, I personally witnessed one thing. On the 6th day of the trial against the second prince began. I personally witnessed the timid second prince admit to the crime of assassinating the emperor. Anyone with eyes could see there was something fishy about this. After all, the cautious emperor had beastman knights planted everywhere. How could such a cowardly second prince successfully assassinate the emperor? But this trial was unfair from the start. The Emmy in the video was incredibly angry, even threatening to destroy this tower. Now I was playing the role of the second prince. Within 7 days, I had to eliminate Big Brother and ascend to the emperor's position. I quickly came up with a strategy. That very night, I went to the emperor's sleeping chambers. To avoid being disturbed, I turned off the live stream chat in advance. I could only apologize to my bros, although I was blocked by beastman soldiers. I still successfully met with the emperor. Seeing me, the emperor also expressed doubt. "How strange, you actually came to find me." I respectfully bowed. How can it be strange for a son to visit his father? This emperor was actually quite reasonable. After he dismissed the beastmen, I told him that the ring he used to control the beastmen was fake. The real ring had long been secretly swapped by the first prince. He also asked why I, who had always kept quiet, was now revealing this. Did I want something? I openly admitted I wanted to become emperor, and said to him, "Please go die." Through this operation, I received a wave of gold coin tips from my bros. They were very excited to see what I would do next. But the next day I went to the workshop. Unfortunately, I ran into the first prince. He immediately mocked me, and it seemed he already knew about my meeting with the emperor yesterday. He probably came to find me curious about what I said to the emperor, but I made him angry with just 2 sentences. As he stepped forward to slap me, a voice said, "Stop." It was the imperial mechanical engineer Pulan. It seemed he also disliked this first prince and came to speak for me. Facing someone like the first prince, he wasn't afraid at all. After all, even the current emperor had to respect him. The first prince could only leave harsh words and depart in anger. After that, I successfully entered the workshop. As soon as I entered, I smelled that nauseating machine oil. Then a window popped up. Magic engineering ability value increase rate will be enhanced here. I immediately opened the skill shop. The skills inside were quite expensive. The audience all said seeing these skills gave them headaches, but I ignored their complaints. I quickly learned all the magic engineering skills in the shop. Someone angrily called me an idiot. I immediately banned him. This could serve as a warning to others. Then I used all the skill books I bought. Immediately a wave of dizziness hit me, like a carsick person who had been on a bus for a day and night. It took me a long while to recover. Seeing my determination, the audience stopped trying to dissuade me. With everything ready, I knocked on Pulan's door. I respectfully told him I wanted to borrow his workshop. So he took me to the underground laboratory. Then he handed me a problem. Solve this problem first. Fortunately, my high school physics wasn't bad, combined with the skill knowledge I just learned. I felt good about completing the problem, although I only got half the points. Pulan was very satisfied with my answer and readily agreed to let me use the workshop freely. He assured me he would absolutely not let the first prince step foot in here. Then I apologized to the audience. The live stream would be somewhat boring for the next few days. For the next few days, except for occasionally checking on the Papuas, I spent the rest of my time in the workshop. Soon there was only 1 day and 16 hours left. At this time, Bodeli frantically found me, "Your Highness, terrible news. His Majesty the Emperor has passed away." I thought what should come had finally come. Before I could finish listening to Bodeli's account, the executioner brought soldiers in. "Arrest the suspect who harmed the Emperor." I didn't resist and let them take me away. Soon my trial began. This was exactly like what I saw in the video. The only difference was that I was now extremely calm. The second prince should have immediately admitted his guilt, but I spoke up in court. I did not murder His Majesty the Emperor. Although I have no evidence, I have a witness. Then footsteps in the corridor echoed throughout the entire venue. The Emperor, who should have been dead, now stood alive before everyone. He looked at the tribunal nearby. "It seems you've gained quite a few benefits from the first prince this year. Duke Magnus, since when do I need to look up to you?" Magnus immediately jumped up from his seat. He and those around him scrambled down from the stands. Then they knelt one by one at the Emperor's feet. The Emperor didn't forget to smile at me. "Then let the official trial begin now." But the first prince was still defiant, and the soldiers who brought him were polite. They didn't even put handcuffs on him. He even told the Emperor this was all my conspiracy. The Emperor's face immediately darkened. "Since you consider me Emperor, why aren't you bowing?" Only then did the first prince reluctantly assume the position. Then he glared at me angrily. I didn't want to deal with him right now. At this time, someone tipped me 500 gold coins. It was the guy who cursed me in the chat earlier. He wanted me to unban him. I decisively closed his private chat window. The Emperor was about to say, "Begin the trial." I quickly interrupted him. Just now I was still the defendant, If you ask me whether I feel wronged, I would definitely answer very wronged. Others were all talking, thinking I would definitely be punished for interrupting the emperor. But the emperor just smiled and gestured for me to continue. I said I wanted to personally expose the criminal's crimes to prove my innocence. The emperor agreed without thinking. So I began questioning the defendant Selin Toplas. Defendant, is your name Selin Toplas? The first prince was grinding his teeth in anger, but finally could only hold back and answer yes. Selin Toplas, did you attempt to harm the emperor? He stood there speechless. I ask again, did you attempt to harm the emperor? But he suddenly laughed. Your clumsy imitation of His Majesty the Emperor is just too funny. Koli, you couldn't be trying to compete with me for the throne, could you? I don't know why you're having a fit, but if you kneel and apologize to me now, I might still forgive you. I directly slapped away his dirty hand. If it were that truly stupid second prince, he might still consider you his big brother. He even told the first prince about secretly keeping magical beasts. In the end, he still didn't believe his big brother had betrayed him. I said the witness could step forward, then a beastman walked up. The first prince spoke first. Knight standing in the witness stand, I ask you. As he spoke, he took out the ring that could control beastmen from his pocket, wrapped in white cloth. Since you can see clearly, then tell me who exactly did you see in the reception room? At this moment, he was already showing a triumphant smile. The beastman knight directly said his name. The first prince looked completely incredulous. The emperor also said mockingly, "What's wrong? From your expression, it seems something is out of your control." The first prince finally realized the emperor's ring was the real one. His last trump card was also gone. I picked up the ring that fell to the ground and brought it to him. Since you voluntarily surrendered the evidence, it saves us trouble. Your Majesty the Emperor, do you have anything to say? The emperor displayed the ring. Nothing special, just identical to the ring I used to control Beastman's soldiers. I raised my hand to ask again, may I make the final judgment? The first prince started shouting loudly, I don't accept this trial that doesn't follow proper procedures. I don't accept this guy who has no qualification to judge. I don't accept those people who took my money but pretend to be noble. It seemed he had really gone mad, even revealing the bribery. Then let me ask the audience present, is anyone willing to speak for Selin Toplas? The entire venue was silent. In that case, I will make the judgment. I declare Selin Toplas guilty and order his immediate arrest. Finally, with the emperor's permission, I had a friendly private conversation with the criminal. I saw my raised arm glowing blue. With one punch, his face was directly caved in. Having vented my anger, the emperor made the final judgment, tie Selin Toplas to a horse and drag him around the entire empire. Hearing this, the first prince cried like an idiot. But no matter how he wailed, he could only be ruthlessly dragged away. The emperor was about to stand up when I quickly called to him. May I speak with you for a moment? Seeing this, the emperor sat back down. I boldly request your majesty. I hope you will make me the son of the Atro Empire. Please grant this. Actually, the son meant the emperor. That is, I was asking him to abdicate. The emperor laughed until tears came out. How interesting. Then he walked up to me. Then he shouted loudly, I will crown second Prince Kali Toplas as emperor of the Atro Empire. I thought I had finally completed the mission. But the next moment, the world turned black and white. Everything around began to rapidly disappear. The next moment, I was in a different dimension. A window immediately popped up next to me. Congratulations on successfully passing the 5th floor trial. From his reply, I learned he was the administrator, but I was curious why he was looking for me. He immediately replied, become an administrator. Become an administrator. His voice kept echoing in my ears. I felt like my brain was going to explode. If you don't accept my proposal, then die. I endured the intense pain and shouted, I refuse! The surroundings immediately quieted down. He asked, are you not afraid of the future? I understood he meant if I refused, he would eliminate me. He didn't continue wasting words. Said I'll wait for you on the 10th floor and left. Since the story mission was completed early, I chose to continue the trial with the remaining time. Soon the world returned to normal. Only the audience said they had just been disconnected. It seemed only I knew what had happened. The emperor saw my expression and asked, why so surprised? Isn't this what you wanted? Emperor Kali Toplas. Only then did I remember I was already the emperor of this empire. Then he put his arm around me like a buddy. Such a happy day. Of course we should have a drink together. Meanwhile, the first prince had been taken to the dungeon. Li Shanjie sneered disdainfully, but was glared at fiercely. Who the hell are you to mock me? Li Shanjie held him down with one hand. He was also helpless now, and the audience was disappointed in him too. At this time, a window popped up. User 4891. Li Shanjie, you have failed. Another user has completed the predetermined ending. You will personally experience the complete destruction of this world. At this time, the first prince had already grabbed his hand. Only death awaited him. And at this time, I had come to a corridor. At the end of the corridor hung a portrait of Koli's mother. When watching the video, I had said, if I reached the 5th floor, I would definitely help her. Although this was a false world, I hoped what I did could make up for Kali's regrets. Thinking this, I stepped into the banquet hall. The next morning, I lay in bed completely lifeless. This was all because of those two shameless old demons. After washing up, the audience told me to spend gold coins. I opened it and found 16,592 gold coins. Bros, how many gold coins did you tip in one night? Then the love boss tipped me another 10,000 gold coins. and praised me with "well done." I immediately bowed 90 degrees. I will work even harder in the future. Then I said I'd visit a few more places before heading to the 6th floor. First, I visited the former emperor. From him, I learned the reason for that slap he gave me. Those magical beasts had been tampered with and could attack at any time. Then I was going to the workshop. There was still something I hadn't taken. After wishing old Pulan a long life, I left with my masterpiece. Now there were still 13 hours left. Actually, I felt a bit regretful. After the trial ends, this world will return to its original state. In future trials, Kali will repeatedly die unjustly. What I didn't know was that the scroll content in the 3rd floor hall had already changed. The Empire has given birth to an emperor who inherited legitimacy without relying on conspiracies and schemes. The Empire prospers daily, everywhere filled with happiness and peace. Travelers who see this content, please do not disturb the heart of the Atro Empire's emperor. Bodley. When preparing to return to the palace, I shouted, "Bodeli! Sure enough, speak of the devil, and he shall appear." I wanted to ask him, "Have you found the reason why the Papuas are listless?" He said not yet, but there were no other abnormalities. Hearing this made me even happier. Since the Papuas were fine, let's go find them. And at this time in the underground room, the Papuas were sleeping soundly. After 7 days, having completed the mission, I finally saw them again. They were overjoyed to see me. They were licking my hand before I even opened the door. The next moment, they couldn't wait to jump toward me. Seeing them so energetic, I was also relieved. Then I told the audience I needed to do some wrap-up work and banned everyone first. Back in the room, I put down the Papuas. Then I came to the desk. This is what I made here. But as Pulan said, this thing was very difficult to make right. The magic soul could be dangerous if not handled carefully. After repeated adjustments, I finally barely met the requirements. I put it on my hand and felt it carefully. After a moment, the sensing device lit up. Then I could control it. Although there was some delay, it was better than I imagined. Only then did I turn off the ban. Then I obsequiously apologized to the audience. Soon my time here would end. I removed my disguise and returned to my original appearance. As soon as I lifted the user entry restriction, audiences flooded into my live stream. They were refugees from Li Shanjie's side. To not disappoint them too much, I decided to set it so new people could only send chat messages after 12 hours. Then I said I would open the completion rewards, which could also interest new audiences. Then a box fell in front of me. This reward box was quite large. Seeing voice messages flooding in, I could only raise the electronic voice price to 500 gold coins. Right after setting it, Luca tipped 1,000 gold and sent a voice message, still wanting me to unban him. I said not yet, so let's look at the rewards first. As soon as I opened it, a set of clothes came into view, and the audience was curious. But I said this was just a very ordinary set of clothes. I just smiled. Is the administrator provoking me? Putting the clothes aside, the Popoi started getting grabby. Seeing his disappointed expression, I was somewhat helpless. Let's look at the next reward. My eyes lit up. It was actually hero-level equipment. Roton's leather boots, with abilities to adjust hardness and invisibility, among various other capabilities. I put the boots on without hesitation. Although it was hero-level, the audience didn't think highly of it, because this equipment was extremely difficult to use. One mistake could put you in danger. I actually saw others using it in the video too. Then I opened my eyes that glowed with blue light. The boots quickly transformed into sneakers. I checked the texture briefly, then told the audience it works pretty well, though this might be because I ate the magic stone. Then came the final reward. Still 5,000 gold coins. Now I have over 30,000 gold coins total, though I really want to learn other skills. But I still need to stay on the 10th floor. I must buy that item. Then I pondered about the 6th floor's information. I remember the 6th floor requires completing trials with others. If the Papuas are discovered, it would definitely cause trouble. I can only put them in my spatial backpack first. After preparing, I'll head to the 6th floor. The 6th floor is a 4-person team mission. We need to defeat 5 waves of incoming enemies. There are still 59 minutes of preparation time. The other 3 are already sitting by the campfire. A buzzcut guy immediately waved at me. There's a fire here, come warm up. Unexpectedly, the audience gave this buzzcut guy bad reviews right after meeting. I greeted them, then looked at the masked girl standing aside. She suddenly said coldly, "Haven't you seen humans before?" I immediately felt awkward. "Sorry, I just thought your mask was quite special." The audience started joking around. At this point, Buzzcut stood up. "Anyway, we're all going to participate in the trial together. Don't fight. First, let me introduce myself. I'm called Buzzcut. I was working out outside, then got summoned in. On the 5th floor, I played the role of Knight Commander. My strength is very strong. Everyone please rest assured." Then the hooded uncle also introduced that he's a mage, but he just wants to pass quickly and then separate. I get the feeling he and Buzzcut had some unpleasant history. The audience guessed they both wanted to be team leader. Then, one by one, volunteered to scout for information. The girl is called Li Shixia. She said she can't explain her profession specifically, just learn some martial arts. I also gave a simple self-introduction. When they heard I was a magic engineer, none of them stayed calm, especially Buzzcut, who kept chattering nonstop. Li Shixia also got impatient. "As long as we few can clear it, uncle, you really worry too much." Though she also found magic engineers boring. Finally, the uncle interrupted Buzzcut's nonsense. "Let me first show you the situation around us. We're surrounded by thick fog. It looks like fog, but it's actually solid like walls. So this floor's range extends only to the fog. The upcoming arrangement is obvious. Frontal combat will be handled by Buzzcut and Li Shixia. Buzzcut is the tank. Li Shixia is damage output. The Uncle Mage provides range damage. As for me, this useless person, I can only watch and help when there's something to do. But Buzzcut was still tirelessly complaining. I didn't want to deal with so much. The urgent matter is to first resolve uncertain factors. Soon after, the first wave of enemies appeared. The audience found it strange from the start. Clearly said to be ghosts, but they had physical forms. The two said, let's observe the situation first. But Buzzcut showed a confident yet foolish smile. Did you forget? I'm the 6th Teachonite Regiment commander. After saying this, he charged alone toward the unidentified enemies. Only heard a clang sound. Only then did Buzzcut sense something wrong. How could ghosts be so hard? The next moment his weapon was knocked away. Then he was firmly controlled by the monster. He roared helplessly. The monster slowly brought him to its mouth. The seemingly fragile girl, with one strike, knocked off the monster's head completely. However, she acted like she'd done something trivial, just annoyed that her clothes got dirty. Only I knew she would later achieve the title of 5th Saint. Originally, she was just an ordinary student, relying on luck and tips to barely pass the first 4 floors. But on the 5th floor, she crossed over as a street vagrant and met a master. Under the master's guidance, Li Shixia changed from her previous softness into a female fighter who could slay demons bare-handed. The title of 5th Saint gradually spread throughout the tower. She angrily shouted at Buzzcut, "Uncle, do you want to die? I told you not to go up. If you're this weak, don't cause trouble for others. I hate people like you who have no ability but love to boast." When passing by me, she glanced at me. This guy said he's a magic engineer, right? Same as that person just now, both weak and incompetent. But why does he look somewhat familiar? I didn't know her thoughts at this time, but it's just as well I don't need to act now. At this time, the scout who went to explore other live streams came back. According to him, the audience in Li Shixia's live stream are all daddy fans. They frantically tip gold coins saying, "Good daughter, do whatever you want." Hearing them praise me made me a bit embarrassed. The Mage Uncle's live stream presented a melancholy atmosphere, with boring but serious people. As for Buzzcut, the audience still joked around even seeing his broken finger. I walked to Buzzcut and asked, "Is your injury okay? Let me look at your wound." Without waiting for his agreement, I used my modified mechanical arm to cast healing magic on him. Soon after he was lying on the ground crying miserably, I said, "Though it hurts now, you won't get any diseases from bleeding later." The uncle came up asking if this glove was made using magic engineering. Is this difficult? I explained though it's difficult, it's not impossible to use. Seeing us chatting happily, Li Shixia showed some disdain. It's just magic engineering, it's not that powerful. Then the uncle arranged the upcoming defense, with Li Shixia as main attacker, him providing magic support, and me same as before. As for Buzzcut, just hope he doesn't get in our way. Soon the second wave of enemies attacked, 2 blue cockroaches. Li Shixia rushed forward without saying a word. She gave each of the 2 blue cockroaches 1 hit, and took them out. The audience all started getting curious about her identity. I sighed inwardly. Truly worthy of the 5th Saint. Though I knew she and I entered the tower in the same batch, I didn't expect we'd meet like this. Then we deduced the next wave would have 4 blue cockroaches. The uncle said he'd provide magic support. We 3 prepared seriously. But the third wave only had 2 blue cockroaches appear. Li Shixia said, "Let's take them out first." I felt something wasn't right. While I was discussing with the uncle, there was movement nearby. I dodged the sudden sneak attack. Looks like the third wave enemies appeared in 2 batches. Young man stepped back. I heard the voice and turned around. The uncle had already condensed a fireball. He threw the fireball at 1 blue cockroach. But it only made the blue cockroach show question marks. The uncle was also dumbfounded. The audience had already expected this result. I walked in front of him saying, "Let me handle it." While speaking, I'd already activated the modified arm. Others don't understand blue cockroaches, but I know them very well. They're fast in straight lines, and iron weapons can't break their shells. Once you overcome this, there's nothing to fear. Thinking this, I charged at the blue cockroach without hesitation. My fist collided with its pincers. Its whole body was trembling. While I just increased the force slightly, and could penetrate it with 1 punch, the other one tried to escape when it saw this. I definitely wouldn't let it go. I thought Li Shixia should be able to handle the other 2. Looking over, I saw the blue cockroach pouncing toward the defenseless him. It turned out moments before, Li Shixia had defeated 1 blue cockroach with a few punches, then heard the uncle's exclamation. When he turned to look at that battlefield, the remaining blue cockroach quietly approached. In a flash, it was right in front of him. Careless, no time to counterattack, so he decisively defended first. Only heard a puff sound. A drop of blood splashed on his face. The blue cockroach remained motionless, then started swaying. Only then did I reveal myself and say embarrassedly, "Sorry, I accidentally let blood splash out. Are you okay?" Not only was she not grateful, but glared at me with wide eyes. I could only pretend not to see. If I made eye contact, I wouldn't know what to say. Then I shifted the topic to the uncle. "Uncle, do you have more powerful magic?" She said the most powerful thing learned on the 5th floor was that fireball spell just now. "But young man, aren't you a magic engineer? How is your reaction speed faster than some knights?" I could only say I don't know how it became like this. Just as the audience said, I can't tell them I ate magic stones with the Papuas. Buzzcut also came out to show his presence. Anyway, seeing everyone so strong puts me at ease. We could only give him disdainful looks. Soon the 4th wave of enemies arrived. We all guessed this time would be double the 3rd wave's enemies, that is 8 blue cockroaches. But unexpectedly, it was 8 on each side. Not only did ordinary ghosts become physical blue cockroaches, the monster numbers grew exponentially, clearly not wanting us to pass. But with mine and Li Shixia's efforts, we finally eliminated all 16 blue cockroaches. though it was the final wave of enemies. Everyone's expressions looked grim, because they all guessed this time there would be a full 256 monsters. The uncle said he protested to the administrator, but the administrator wasn't there. Seeing only 20 seconds left, I made my decision. Then I stood up and walked forward saying, "You all go lie down in the back. I'll warn you first. If you want to live, then do as I say." While speaking, my modified arms power was fully activated. As expected, countless blue cockroaches appeared. Before they could attack, I had already raised my arm, using the super strong shockwave to blast toward the blue cockroaches in front. But I didn't expect this power to be so strong. At this rate, it would end in one go. Thinking this, I spun my body in a full circle. Where the shockwave passed, blue cockroaches were completely annihilated. Within a 10-meter radius, not a blade of grass remained. The uncle and Li Shixia were stunned. Just who is this guy? My body started swaying. Then the modified arm fell off. I directly coughed up blood. This thing consumed more magic power than I imagined. It should be because the magic stone I installed was exhausted. Then it also drained the magic power from my body. Finally, the trial completion notification appeared. They also snapped back and inquired about my injuries. I said it was nothing serious. Li Shixia still wanted to investigate further. I looked at the uncle and explained, "It's just simple magic power backflow. Uncle, you're a mage. You should understand." Well, the uncle also said if that's the case, then it's really nothing serious, so student, don't worry too much. Li Shixia immediately turned aside. "Nonsense, I wasn't worried about you. This is totally a tsundere female student persona." At this time, someone suddenly sent a voice message. "Just who are you?" I completely ignored him. He was also mocked by other audience members. Then I said to the three people, "Everyone confirm your rewards, then leave first." Seeing their hesitant looks made me somewhat gloomy. The trial is over, everyone goes their separate ways. Buzzcut still wanted to say something. Li Shixia walked over to interrupt him, called out "Uncle." I turned back to look but didn't respond. Then she suddenly took off her mask. With an annoyed expression said, "That weird uncle? I'm calling you." The audience knew why her livestream was full of daddy fans. "What's your real name?" I looked confused. Didn't I just say? "My name is Kim Jeju." He said the audience couldn't find this person. Hearing this, I pondered the pros and cons. After a moment, I told him to add the number 2 when searching. Just after saying this, notification sounds kept coming. I had to set no entry notifications for users. Buzzcut immediately got anxious, as I expected. His livestream had few loyal fans. They all came to my side. My audience all said they didn't want to let them in. Hearing I wanted to set entry permissions made Buzzcut feel better. In comparison, not many people came from the uncle's and Li Shixia's live streams. At this time, Shixia's dad tipped me 5,000 gold coins, thanking me for saving his daughter. I said I also saved him to pass the trial, but thank you for tipping the gold coins. Seeing time was almost wasted, everyone started collecting rewards preparing to leave. I was indeed troubled. With so many people watching, the system shouldn't mess with me. At this time, Li Shixia asked, "Speaking of which, haven't we met somewhere before?" Suddenly a gift box dropped in front of him. The two old men opened their mouths wide. Because my gift box was obviously different from theirs, fortunately the size was the same. When I was about to open the box, their two faces leaned over. "But what's there for you to see?" The audience said they were too thick-skinned. If it were them, they'd also look. Buzzcut still looked unconvinced. I didn't bother with them anymore. The first reward was Roton's leather gloves, with temperature regulation and magic enhancement abilities. Since the administrator wants to give me hero-level equipment, I have no need to refuse. The uncle glanced and left. After all his people said this wasn't good equipment. Buzzcut said desperately, "Big brother, let me unlock permissions." I didn't even look and refused. The second reward was still 5,000 gold coins. After seeing the rewards, everyone had to bid farewell and leave. The uncle finally thanked me gratefully. Buzzcut just nodded. The audience said that guy's mouth was glued shut. I said we just met by chance. Next time we meet, we might become enemies. Looking at the still smoking modified arm, I said I need to wait for it to cool down before leaving. At this time, my backpack was moving. Seeing this, I opened the zipper. 6 eyes were glowing golden inside. Suddenly, they all rushed out. I immediately felt something was wrong. They must have smelled the magic residue on the gloves. I quickly grabbed them. They struggled desperately. I said that can't be eaten. Hearing this, they looked at me pitifully. I said acting cute won't work either. Suddenly, Li Shixia's voice came from behind. "Uncle, what are you holding?" I immediately became flustered, but didn't know how to make excuses. She had already frozen completely. It turned out the Papuas had unconsciously released a cuteness wave. This caused Li Shixia, who was just a student, to feel quite moved. Seeing this, I called her name to snap her back. Then she pointed at me and cursed. "Damn it. Just wait and see." After saying this, she ran away, leaving me alone confused in the wind. But I didn't have that much time to waste. The audience were all worried about my body. Some also hinted the next floor doesn't need strength. I'd already let the Papuas return to the backpack. They can't eat the gloves in there. After greeting everyone, I was ready to set off. One audience member directly revealed the 7th floor's content and was immediately kicked from the live stream. What I didn't expect was encountering the difficult wife killer demon from the video on the 7th floor. When I first saw him, I was still a bit panicked, though I only saw him through video. His cold-blooded and ruthless image was deeply imprinted in my mind. I quickly recovered my composure. He smiled and asked me, "What's your name?" "My name is Kim Jeju. What about you?" Hearing this, he very gentlemanly bowed to me. "My name is Han Jishuo." Seeing this, I walked forward and asked, "What did you do before entering the tower?" He didn't answer my question. So quick to probe for my intelligence, you haven't even confirmed the trial content. I didn't say much more. Even having watched the video, I wasn't confident I could beat him. I pretended not to know and opened the introduction, as I thought it was a lie detection game. Simply put, the person first designated by the stone statue starts asking questions. If the stone statue's 3 eyes light up, the same color simultaneously, it will be awakened, remaining silent or answering incorrectly. Misjudging the opponent's answer will receive punishment. The audience all felt sorry for me, because the opponent clearly looked like a person without emotions. I was also thinking about how to induce him to lie. The waiting time quickly passed. The stone statue started shaking, first pointing at Han Jishuo. He showed an intriguing expression. Kim Jeju, did you know me before entering the tower? The audience thought he was asking questions without thinking, but I knew my first reaction revealed a flaw, though he probably wasn't certain either. So I said I didn't know him. He decisively confirmed I was lying. The unknowing audience definitely thought he guessed wrong, but the result was beyond their expectations. The stone statue lit up with blue light confirming correctness. Now it was my turn to ask. If you were told to take someone's life and it wasn't a trial, you had no necessity to do so, would you still do it? Of course, I'd take however many lives. The result confirmed he was telling the truth. Kim Jeju, did you already know the 7th floor's trial content? Nonsense, how could I possibly know? He again judged I was lying. Result confirmed successful. At this point, I was already sweating coldly. Seems I shouldn't have questioned him right after entering. But I quickly calmed down. You said you'd take however many lives. Then what if it included your wife? Would you harm her? His poker face also showed some panic. Of course I wouldn't harm my beloved wife. I decisively placed the sphere in the groove. Result confirmed successful. Kim Jeju, did you already know I was married? I said that's right. The stone statue remained silent. Now it was my turn to ask again. If your wife came to the tower with you, would you harm her and abandon her in the wild because she hindered you? Actually, I knew the stone statue judges whether we're lying based on objective facts, but the person's psychological factors also influenced the stone statue's judgment. He helplessly shook his head, saying he wouldn't do that. I exhaled heavily. Yeah, anyone with humanity definitely wouldn't do that. But you're lying. Result confirmed successful. He no longer hid his true nature, laughing maniacally there. This is really interesting. Kim Jeju, actually, this is your second time entering the tower, right? Hearing this, my heart trembled. After hesitating, I answered no. He showed a triumphant smile. I advise you better not lie anymore. The next moment, he decisively put down the stone. Result confirmed. The stone statue shook violently, then leaned down in front of Han Jishuo. The god of music will impose punishment on user Han Jishuo. He looked completely incredulous, while my gaze was extremely determined. Because I was certain I wasn't the Kim Jeju from the video, he still wanted to escape, but was controlled by tentacles extending from the stone statue. On his limbs, the stone statue had already raised the ice blade in its hand. Before dying, he still asked me, just who are you? I hesitated before answering, just consider me someone who knew you before. After saying this, the stone statue's weapon had already fallen. Listening to the screams beside me, I couldn't bear to watch directly. The entrance to the 8th floor appeared accordingly. I said, let me confirm the rewards first. This time it was Rotan's hero-level bracers, with magic-breaking ability. This is indeed a good ability. I don't know why the administrator always gives me Rotan series equipment. Now I've obtained the 3rd piece. I put on the bracers. With a thought, I made them change color. The second reward was still 5,000 gold coins. Then I'll head to the next floor. After greeting the audience, I walked into the portal. What met my eyes was a lush green forest. This floor is to eliminate all appearing enemies. The audience were all hinting at something in the comments. I didn't pay much attention, found a tree and closed my eyes. Time quickly arrived. Opening my eyes, I saw Papuas appearing before me one by one. Just their expressions didn't look too friendly, but I remained unhurried. Suddenly one pounced at me. The other Papuas also pounced at me, then rubbed against me. I could only silently endure this. I don't know if it's because I learned basic beast studies or because I developed feelings for them. Now I can sense their emotions. However, just as I was looking at these little cuties, my storage backpack opened by itself. Then my back suffered heavy hammering from 3 small ones. They puffed out their little faces, as if expressing their dissatisfaction. One even climbed on top of my head, like declaring sovereignty. Only then did I realize they were jealous. Just then, the portal to the 9th floor appeared. Seeing this, I put the local Papua back on the ground. The 3 little ones immediately became smug. They were indeed jealous. I also realized this place was like the 1st floor. As long as the Papuas had no hostility toward me, it was equivalent to eliminating all enemies. Now I finally had hands free to confirm rewards. A scroll dropped out of thin air. I immediately opened it to view with the 3 little ones. Life that inherited the will of the world tree Bolinabo Ertan. Life that was extremely sad due to the world tree's demise. Life that wants to cultivate new world tree sprouts. As long as your will is firm, the world tree will definitely regain vitality. Some said they couldn't understand, others understood clearly. I gazed at that somewhat different world tree in the distance, knowing this was about the 25th floor's trial content. After the world tree that suppressed demonic energy broke, Atro fell into great chaos. That twisted Atro world is where the 25th floor trial takes place. Then I walked to an open area, found a clean place and laid down directly. Sorry guys, I need to sleep for a while. Not long after speaking, my snoring sounded. The Papuas all played around me. I don't know how much time passed. Though I still wanted to sleep more, my body felt particularly heavy. Don't know how many Papuas were pressing on me. When I got up, they all jumped away. I felt like I slept for about an hour. I said, I need to set off now. The love boss was quite concerned about me, taking the 3 little ones to the portal. Looking back, I saw the local Papuas all showing reluctant expressions. Though very reluctant, I knew they wouldn't abandon the world tree to leave with me. I could only smile and bid them farewell as I walked into the portal. The 9th floor is an intelligence trial, similar to the 4th floor. Just here, there are 4 walls and only 2 hours. Seeing this, I could only sigh helplessly. Evil administrator, you just can't stand seeing me pass easily. The audience also felt indignant for me, but actually this wasn't much. And now it's a 2-person cooperation trial. I went forward to greet her. She seemed startled. After coming to her senses, she removed her hood, revealing her beautiful face. Are those on your head real, Papua? She suddenly grabbed my hand. My God, how did you do it? They're so cute. A fragrant scent wafted over. I said, let's pass the trial first, then chat. As the audience joked, how dare she covet me, this emperor? Only then did she let go. Sorry, I was too excited. My name is Chen Xian. What about you? I also told her my name. Hearing her name, the audience chat became lively. I also knew she entered the tower in the same batch as me. Compared to her real name, her future nickname, Witch, was more widely known. Many people were deceived by her kind appearance and fell victim to her. Her liking for Papuas was just an act. Miss Chen, can you turn 100 crystals the same color by yourself? She showed great effort, saying many brothers are helping her so she can try, though 4 walls wouldn't be difficult for me. But I didn't want to attract Chen Xian's attention, so I slowed down. Even the audience could see this. I looked back and saw Chen Xian there complaining why it wouldn't work. I knew she was definitely pretending, but I couldn't be imprisoned here because of her, so I had to show some ability. After finishing my side, I took over her part. She also showed a very apologetic look. With 20 minutes remaining, I finished all the walls. That woman pounced over, my God, you're simply a genius. The audience all showed some dissatisfaction. I also pushed her away, saying, with your ability, finishing all 4 walls crystals wouldn't take an hour either, right? After being exposed, she stopped pretending. Her eerie smile made people's hair stand on end. Mr. Kim Jae-ju, just who are you? Could you really be entering the tower for the 2nd time? I countered, do you think that's possible? Though I also think it's unrealistic. But a brother who just came in insisted I ask. Seems Han Jishua's people couldn't find my live stream, so they went to Chen Xian's stream wanting to inquire about me. Actually, I also don't think you're entering the tower for the 2nd time, because you're too cautious, possibly reborn or transmigrated. Hearing this, my face darkened. Why would you think that? She said she used a replay ticket to watch my 7th floor trial, seeing me not like someone familiar with the tower, but rather very familiar with that person. I also knew this witch was difficult to deal with. If targeted, she'd chase me to the tower's end. I must get rid of her. Since you're so curious, I'll tell you. She suddenly pressed her face close. Are there conditions? You have to give me the robe you're wearing first, then I can tell you. She petrified on the spot while I said I was serious. If you're joking with me, I won't let you off. She started removing her robe. With some annoyance said, see? Now you can tell me, these audience members really like they've never seen women. I extended my hand, gaze never falling on her. What are you thinking? I want your robe. So she got even more annoyed. You really made me speechless. This is different from ordinary magic enhancement equipment. This is expensive robes. I put it on without any courtesy. She hugged her arms, asking, now you should answer my question. First of all, I'm not entering the tower for the 2nd time, nor did I transmigrate or reborn. I just understand this tower's mechanisms better than others. You mean you even know users' identity information? I just shrugged. This question you can only think about yourself. You can see she was holding back great anger. You still haven't told me the method. I said the robe exchange question was already answered. I don't need to say the rest. She was completely speechless, then laughed maniacally again. The 3 little ones were all scared. She finally recovered, though I can't accept your answer. You're quite interesting, and I prefer men with many secrets. The love boss told me not to bother with her. Seeing this, I also picked up the 3 little ones and politely dealt with it, then turned to leave, but she called me back. At least tell me your real name. What Kim Jae-ju? How could that kind of name be real? I suffered serious damage, thinking how can Kim Jae-ju not be a real name? I quickly ran into the portal, finally arrived at the 10th floor. Here you can freely set live stream on, off, and change channels. Also can watch streamers below the 10th floor. Those audiences also receive certain compensation through my performance. I told them I was going to look around and turned off the live stream first, then put the 3 little ones in the backpack, put on the hood before setting off, but I always had a sense of dissonance. At this time, a commoner bumped into a noble. I thought she was going to die, but the result was unexpected. That noble kindly comforted the commoner girl. I didn't expect nobles and commoners could coexist harmoniously, and he mentioned His Majesty Kaoli. Seems this place is different from before. Moments later, by the fountain pool, a bald old man was feeding pigeons. I suddenly walked in front of him, asking, may I sit beside you? After getting permission, I sat down. How long have you lived here? The old man answered harmoniously. Too long, I can't even remember. I continued asking, are you happy now? Happy? I don't even know if I still have that thing. After saying this, he threw feet on the ground. The pigeons flew away in panic, but one was firmly grasped in his hand. The pigeon wanted to struggle, but the big hand didn't move. The old man's face was no longer kind. While I remained very calm, what exactly are you thinking, administrator? Then he just glared at me and trapped me in a reading illusion. I knew this was the 15th floor trial ground, Talsha on the brink of destruction. In this 15th floor trial, endless magical beasts kept attacking. No matter how hard the challengers fought, the beasts only increased. This was an endless struggle, all because of that giant flower bud on the distant snowy mountain. That eerie thing called Seed Heart. It kept spewing out magical beasts. So before Talsha was completely destroyed, this place would repeat this nightmare forever. Even after destruction, this would only become a hell overrun by magical beasts. I was watching intently when, suddenly a black shadow blocked my view. When I turned around, I saw a grotesque bloody maw lunging at me. I died. But I also woke up from that illusion. The administrator asked me what I thought after seeing the predetermined future. I said no matter how much you threaten me, my choice won't change. Even if it's a predetermined future, I've already changed it before. You should know this, since you've been monitoring me all along. The administrator restored his kindly smile. So you knew all along, you really are suitable to become an administrator. I loudly objected. I'm different from Kim Jae-ju in the videos. Then do you know why those videos were sent to your phone? I honestly said I didn't know. But I would never accept your proposal to become administrator. Even if you threaten me with trials, bring it on. Then the pigeon's neck was snapped by him. Aren't you curious about what comes after the videos? If you're curious, I'll tell you. Go ahead. After all, knowing is better than not knowing. When the strangled pigeon flew away again, he slowly said, "Do you think this Atluo world was created just for users to enjoy the game?" Actually, I don't think so. If I thought it was fake, I wouldn't waste time playing the prince. I'd just kill Li Shanzai directly. He saw I was negative, then told me there were several other administrator candidates besides me, all before I entered the tower. I asked him back, according to you, there are many administrators here, or does the previous administrator automatically lose qualification after handover? His tone became much gloomier. There can only be one administrator. Those who leave this position all ended their own lives. I've tried my best to build this tower, even added the live streaming system you all like. But no matter how much I keep fixing it, this damn Atluo world keeps malfunctioning. With that, he stomped on the ground. The entire space trembled. I fix one side, the other side breaks down. This world's bugs are endless, just like that mechanical glove you made. An administrator is like a water tank, and Atluo is the water in the tank. I've been this tank for too long, so long I've lost myself. Forgotten the original intention of becoming administrator. I've lost joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. The only thing I can feel is the sense of duty to fill the tank's water to the proper level. Other administrators are the same. As if they have OCD, they try every way to fill their tanks with water. But without exception, they all failed. Some because their tanks were too small, some because the water flow was too strong. But Kim Jae-ju, you're different. The water in your tank is filled to perfection, perfectly supporting Atluo. I asked him what those videos I received were exactly. He said they were the future after becoming administrator, which should be considered the past from now. Anyway, they were sent by the Kim Jae-ju in the videos. As for why he did this, I don't know. If I could see through people's hearts, I wouldn't be so troubled. Hearing this, I asked my final question. This place differs from my impression of the 10th floor. Is there any special reason related to my 5th floor trial? Hearing this, he burst out laughing. I knew you were more suitable to be administrator than anyone. Your current actions are extremely similar to how he managed this tower. Seeing you put Atluo back on track, I understand Kim Jae-ju. You're someone who will never change. I knew he meant I would still become administrator to change this tower. But I challenged him, stop dreaming. Even if you say this, I won't become administrator. Hearing this, he stopped talking. His body twisted with bones creaking. Then he turned into a pigeon and flew away. His clothes also vanished before my eyes, as if he had never been here. Now I really want to know why the Kim Jae-ju in the video sent me those videos. Looks like I can only climb to the top of the tower. Then the Papuas emerged from my backpack. One of them licked me frantically. I knew they were trying to comfort me. Then I reopened the live stream page. Surprisingly, I only lost a few fans. Seems only those few were from the 10th floor. Makes sense. Those who saw Papua on the 1st floor and stayed till now must be skilled in somewhat perverted big shots. At this moment, a pop-up appeared, asking if I wanted to join the trending live streams. Thinking about the threats among Han Jishuo and Chen Xiaoyan's fans, I decisively canceled it. The stream officially started. I immediately welcomed the viewers. The love asked why I closed the stream. I brushed it off, saying I had something to do. I didn't know this big shot was actually a little fangirl. No wonder Chen Xiaoyan told me to ignore her before. After reaching the 10th floor, I first came to Clay Workshop. Originally, this was Pulan Workshop. Don't know how it became Clay's. I walked into the house. Inside was only an unfamiliar uncle. I see you look like a traveler. Let me say up front, I don't take rush orders. I just asked if Master Pulan was here. He looked at me like I was an idiot. If you want the best craftsman, you should go to the Imperial City. The viewers all guessed this was the administrator's doing. I told him I wanted to fix something. If it's inconvenient, could you lend me the workbench and materials to fix it myself? Hearing I knew something about magical engineering, his attitude changed. We introduced ourselves to each other. Then, I took out the mechanical glove. He could tell at a glance it was something I rushed to make, and knew the glove's magic circuit was dangerous. He agreed to help me fix it, and reminded me to find some magic stones to test it. Though from the 10th floor you can trade in the community window, it only has items matching the 10th floor. Magic stones are rare. I could only try my luck at the offline auction house, supposedly a place only rich people can go. But buying things there has a downside. It won't show equipment information. Users can only buy based on feeling. Actually, what I want more is a blood garnet, but that's even harder to find. Then someone called me from behind. Are you a user? I see you're wearing robes, must be a mage, right? Before I could answer, he called over a girl. They started showing off their relationship right in front of me. He told me not to go to the free auction house, because he couldn't get in even with 10,000 gold coins, and you can't see equipment info either. Alright, would you like to join our team? We can help you quickly pass the 11th floor. Actually, I knew that from the 10th floor onwards, after passing each floor, users can return to the 10th floor's free area. Seems they lack a mage. So I turned around saying I had business at the auction house. But that woman came up and grabbed my arm. Brother, let's find a place to chat. I immediately shook her off. Really no need, and I'm not a mage. The guy also came forward yelling, you don't have to push people just because you won't go. We can't force you anyway. I knew I was a bit excessive. I simply apologized and wanted to leave, but these two kept muttering behind me. Brat, let's see if you can even get in. Sure enough, I was stopped. If you're a traveler, please prove you have entry qualifications. I showed my gold coins. They immediately respectfully let me through. I politely nodded to those two idiots. Their expressions were priceless. I walked straight to the front desk. Didn't expect they required identity verification here too, but I hesitated to write. The viewers started teasing me. After some struggle, I still wrote Kim Jae-ju's name, but the result didn't match. I could only sigh helplessly. Then added the number 2 after Kim Jae-ju. I really shouldn't have been so careless back then. I removed my hood as required, then headed down to the main hall. Soon I spotted a familiar face. I went over to greet her. Hello, we meet again. Lee Shiksa didn't expect to run into me here either. With her permission, I sat across from her. A server came over asking what we'd like to drink. I just ordered water. Lee Shiksa ordered a cola. After the drinks arrived, we sat in relative silence. After a moment, she asked what I came to buy. I honestly told her I wanted magic stones, since she'd seen my magic stones had no energy in previous battles. Then we had nothing to say again. Viewers said the awkwardness was deadly. Suddenly she blushed and thanked me. I said it was all for passing trials, no need to mind it. Actually, I felt quite guilty, since that trial was so difficult because of me. Then I changed the subject, asking why she always wore a school uniform. She said this uniform held many memories for her. I nodded, saying she should indeed cherish it. Actually, I wanted to build a good relationship with her. After she passes the 15th floor, she'll become a top-tier expert. So I invited her to add me as a friend. She looked at me somewhat surprised. I said though we're not real friends, we could help each other. She hesitated for a long time before accepting. Then she asked me, Uncle, how did you become so close with Papuas? I said that's a trade secret. She angrily called me stingy. Just then the auction start announcement was broadcast. She changed from her previous sweet demeanor to coldly say, how annoying. Soon after I came to the auction hall and sat down. First I had to wait for the auctioneer to finish a bunch of nonsense. Then came the first item, a red earth dragon egg. Though I studied magical beast science and could tame it, but when grown it's 3 meters long, being with it would be too conspicuous. Before I knew it came the 8th item. The auctioneer said it was a very mysterious piece. A necklace from Duke Clardy's daughter. Maker unknown, materials unknown, starting price 10,000 gold coins. Many people thought this was just a decorative piece at most. I immediately raised my paddle. I bid 10,000 gold coins, but in this auction house even users can't see item properties. Most people treated it as a decorative piece. Just when I thought I had it, customer 47 called out 11,000 gold coins. She was the locally famous gem enthusiast Greydale. The Dale family business did involve magic stones. But I heard this younger daughter wasn't interested in business matters. Could she also see this was the rare blood garnet? She noticed my gaze, and even winked at me. I was immediately furious. Right away called out the high price of 12,000, but that woman pursued relentlessly, finally bid up to 20,000 gold coins. Though blood garnet is indeed a treasure, I don't absolutely need it right now. This time I'll just buy a regular magic stone. While I was thinking, customer 70 called out 21,000 gold coins. That person was Lee Shiksa. So the two women staged another chase. Lee Shiksa finally won the necklace for 30,000 gold coins. Though missing the blood garnet was a bit disappointing, luckily I only spent 6,000 gold coins to get a decent magic stone. Then I noticed Lee Shiksa standing at the door. She played with the blood garnet and said to me, why so slow? I thought you left first. Before I could speak, she held the necklace out to me. It's for you, hurry up and take it. I looked at her puzzled. Why give it to me? She was displeased with my look, then directly stuffed the necklace into my hands. Take it since I'm giving it, I won't take it back. This is also a magic stone, right? Seeing you were so obsessed with it, I figured it out, but I'm still curious why she spent so much to buy it for me. She became a bit embarrassed. Didn't you say you wanted to be friends? It's normal for friends to give gifts. I was about to say something when she turned to leave. Don't pretend not to know me when we meet again. As viewers said, good thing she doesn't know I'm live streaming, or her expression would be priceless. I was still puzzling over why she gave this to me. Could it be she saw my good performance last time and wants to build a relationship, but she's not that type of person. Women's hearts are really hard to guess. Lee Shiksa hadn't gone far when she muttered, does this uncle really not remember me? When she was little, she was worrying about why the new school's uniform was so expensive. I happened to come out of the principal's office then. I casually mentioned, little sister, listen well to the principal. Lee Shiksa didn't think much of it. She went into the office and told the principal about not having money for uniforms. The principal told her not to worry, someone just sponsored our school. To buy uniforms for the children. Maybe the sponsor was embarrassed. They asked me to keep it secret from you all. Lee Shiksa immediately thought of the uncle who just left. Forget it. It doesn't matter if she doesn't remember me. After leaving the auction house, I came to Clay's workshop. Clay didn't expect me to come early. I examined what he was making. It looked familiar. After he explained, I realized this was my glove, completely different from before. Clay laughed heartily. We magical engineers like to do our best. So I also took out the necklace, but this blood garnet is smaller than I thought. I was going to ask you to adjust the socket size. Didn't expect you already did it almost perfectly. Clay gestured for me to relax. When I first saw this glove's structure, I discovered it needed magic stone consumption. I also know each magic stone varies in size, so I added a mechanism to the glove, allowing it to use different sized magic stones. Let me demonstrate directly. He pressed a button on the glove. The magic stone installation socket appeared. Then he placed the blood garnet on it. 5 fixing brackets firmly secured the blood garnet. This way you don't need to worry about magic stone size. To replace magic stones, just press that button twice. I was so moved, but you made it so well. The cost. The love immediately said, if money's not enough, just ask. But Clay chuckled. I found fixing this quite interesting, so no charge. I still need an hour to finish up. Wait outside. An hour later, I walked out of Clay's workshop. Viewers wanted me to stay and tour the 10th floor, but I said no. I plan to challenge the 11th floor tomorrow. As for tonight, I'll get a good sleep, but while sleeping soundly, I felt something moving around on me. It was one of the Papuas. Its stomach was growling. Suddenly, it opened its mouth wide at me. Turns out it was just washing my face. I asked what's wrong. I saw it smacking its little mouth, then rubbing against me. The other 2 also came over making noise. I could tell they were hungry. I told them to wait, then opened the live stream. Surprisingly, viewer count reached 200. I thought, don't people sleep? Only 227 total fans. Looks like they were all waiting for me to stream. Then I took out the magic stone I bought for 6,000 gold coins. Without blinking, I threw it to the 3 little ones. They immediately devoured it. A viewer asked if I'd thought of a name for the glove. When I first put on the glove, I could directly feel it was much better than before. But Clay refused any payment, only asking me to give it a good name. I said the name needs careful thought. After all, random naming would make my promise to Clay meaningless. After organizing, I came to the teleport gate outside the city, though it's in the middle of the road. Actually, only users can enter teleport gates. At Luo, locals can't even see them. I didn't expect so many people even in a quiet channel. A viewer asked why I don't join a team before challenging, since randomly matched teammates are usually trash. I know from the 11th floor there are many cooperative trials. Most users join teams through recruitment posts before challenging. Actually, I'd like to cooperate with viewers who followed me since the 1st floor. But not knowing what the administrator will do on the 11th floor. Better check it myself first. I don't want to drag down these loyal viewers. As for difficulty, there's no need to worry, as long as the administrator doesn't go too far. Hard mode isn't difficult for me. After selecting, I walked into the teleport gate. Right after entering, I saw a man and woman. This floor's trial requires 3 users to battle monsters and achieve victory. The lady saw my robes and immediately beamed with joy. I politely greeted them before walking over. Also secretly assessed their weapons. No wonder they were so excited seeing my outfit. The male knight pointed at my glove, asking, "You're a mage, right?" I honestly told them I was a magical engineer. Hearing this answer, they looked quite troubled. The female knight also said the situation wasn't optimistic, asking how much support equipment I prepared. I said I only brought 1. She looked even more disappointed. Soon, preparation time ended. The male knight prayed on the side, let it be a sea serpent, even 10 of those I wouldn't fear. Then the sea surface churned. Seeing this, the couple thought they were done for. I also got nervous from their reaction. Could the administrator have played some trick again? Suddenly, a familiar roar came from the sea. I was trying to remember where I heard this sound, then saw a green head emerge from the sea. When it fully emerged, I suddenly felt deflated. Isn't this my old friend Little Turtle from the 2nd floor? Looks like I don't need to use that eye-catching mechanical glove. So I used the Roton's glove to create an axe. But if this equipment isn't adjusted properly for hardness, it might break easily. Then I walked in front of the 2 saying, "Don't worry about it, let me handle this guy." They were still hesitating, but the dragon turtle had already gone berserk. I urgently said, "Stay back if you don't want to die." The dragon turtle slammed its head toward the ground. It stared at the 2's direction, while I watched from the other side. Having them as bait was quite convenient. Then I shot forward with blue light to the dragon turtle's front leg. 1 axe strike down. The axe shattered on impact, but it also cut a gash in the dragon turtle's front leg. It immediately howled in pain. I reached toward the fallen axe head. It immediately flew back to the handle and fused together. The dragon turtle retracted all 4 limbs into its shell. Viewers urged me to quickly finish it. It would be troublesome if it returned to water. I was also glad it was just healing in place. Then I leaped onto its back. Seems my physical abilities improved a lot. On the 2nd floor, it took tremendous effort to get on the dragon turtle's back. Some viewers knew what I was going to do next. The dragon turtle desperately shook, trying to throw me off. But I didn't budge, and had already chosen a spike. 1 axe strike cut it off. Seeing its shell start glowing red, it was going to self-destruct. I immediately fled frantically, then threw the spike into the air, following with a leap, landing right next to the spike, timing it perfectly to strike the spike with my axe. The spike pierced into flesh that hadn't retracted into the shell. Then came a series of explosions. When the smoke cleared, the dragon turtle lay motionless on the ground. Soon, teleport gates to the 12th floor and 10th floor appeared. I fused the axe back into the glove. The two came over to thank me. I said no need to thank me, I had to pass the trial anyway. After thanking, just go. The guy wanted to ask my name. I immediately looked grim. Sure enough, mentioning names made these viewers come out to tease me. I quickly changed the subject. Since they left, let's see the rewards. The 9th floor reward box hadn't been claimed yet. Then a wooden gift box and an exquisite gift box dropped together. I first opened this floor's wooden gift box. Inside was only 1,000 gold coins, backpack weight increased ticket, and the lowest grade magic stone. Seems the administrator really didn't interfere with this floor's trial. Then I opened the 9th floor reward box. Indeed, another 5,000 gold coins, and something that greatly surprised me, a defensive outer Roton's coat. Today I came to an empty park. My backpack unzipped itself, then several big heads poked out. Immediately jumped to the ground for a walk. I reminded from behind, don't go too far approximately, the lead Papuas responded. Seeing the scene made this old father very pleased. Then I asked viewers, I want to name them. Any good suggestions? Hearing my words, they seemed very happy. I said now that I have feelings for them, I want to give them names. A user immediately donated 1,000 gold coins with voice message. How about Boshuni? I said with a dark face, that's not good. Others had even more bizarre ideas. Just then someone reminded me. I immediately opened the shop to find magical beast science skill books. Compared to other skills, these were incredibly cheap. But thinking about it, who would buy this stuff anyway? So I bought all three without hesitation. The skill books merged into my body. In less than 1 second, I mastered these 3 skills. This is quite convenient, the only downside is feeling dizzy after absorbing knowledge. The 3 little ones came to my front. They seemed worried about me. Probably due to the new skills, I could now transmit my feelings for them to them. This was an experience I never had before. I suddenly stood up. I've decided, taking 2 characters from the loving goddess Plasha's name. The Papuas who's greedy but considerate and caring for companions. I'll call you Lasha. May Plasha always protect you. The little guy who always stands up to danger. Using the brave god Rascoding's name, so you'll be called Coding. And the last Papuas. Among the 3, you're the most perceptive. Also taking 2 characters from wisdom goddess Tabalin's name, so your future name will be Balin. After getting names, they were very happy. I had just been affectionate with them for a while when I remembered I was live streaming. I coughed twice, trying to stay composed, since their names are decided. Let's head to the 12th floor now. As for Lasha, Coding, Balin, please hide in the backpack for now. Seeing viewers' reluctance, I told them to bear with it a bit longer. I'll figure something out after the 15th floor. That's what I said, but I felt bad too. Not sure if it's because of the new skills. When I reached the 12th floor, 3 people had already gathered here. A knight immediately greeted me. Hello, I'm Jin Zirun. I also told him my name was Kim Jeju. The casual dressed girl also came up and said her name. But your outfit is really special. I haven't seen it in the shop. I said I don't know how I got this equipment, by the way, there's still one teammate. I saw that person looked rather dazed. Those eyes I simply couldn't look directly at. Why keep staring at me? He stammered, no. You said your name was Kim Jeju, right? My expression immediately turned cold. Is there a problem with my name? Are you the emperor? I immediately sensed trouble. Flashed over and covered his mouth. I threatened him not to say more. He nodded frantically. He was about to kneel when I stopped him again, but I should at least do something. I held my forehead and sighed. Just introduce yourself quickly. He immediately saluted me. Yes, hello, I'm Zheng Shangjun. I was a bit speechless. Thought only 8 people were kicked out on the 10th floor. Wouldn't run into them. Should have switched to a foreign channel. Then Li Xiaoshu also came over asking, looks like you already know each other. I quickly answered first, right, we met on the 11th floor. Jin Zirun looked suspicious. You're so strange, just now showing off equipment. Now how are you being timid? How dare I? Shut up, I immediately stopped his nonsense. Then I changed the subject, introducing our situations. This man and woman left their team long ago, don't have many viewers. So they got no intel about the 12th floor. As for Zheng Shangjun, after being kicked from his team he had nothing to do, then found a super amazing me. Through donations he finally got lots of profit sharing. So now he has money to buy equipment. Jin Zirun said time was running short, needed to arrange positioning. Zheng Shangjun, seeing him take charge, also got irrationally fired up. I said forget it, knowing he's challenged the 12th floor, letting him assign positions is fine, right? But Jin Zirun wasn't calm after learning I chose magical engineer. I'd expected this. I said I'd give my all. These are cursing ape men. If anyone shows off in front of them, they'll be called a noob. And their learning ability is very strong. If one attack doesn't kill them, it's easy to be counterattacked. Especially can't use sword techniques on them. Zheng Shangjun used his experience to explain to everyone. Jin Zirun immediately flew into rage. Then the skills we learned on the 5th floor are meant to be used. Now you tell me we can't use skills. Do we only rely on brute force? That's why Zheng Shangjun found matching with first-time challengers troublesome. Anyway, try it yourself and you'll know. Then he walked toward me. Big brother Kim Jeju, you could clearly pass this trial alone. Are you trying to hide your strength? I said I don't want to act very capable. What do you mean act? You clearly are very capable. But the trial was about to start. I was too lazy to argue with him. Called everyone to get ready. Saw the 8 men rapidly approaching. They all shouted Lakua in unison. Zheng Shangjun was already sweating profusely, having witnessed these 8 men's terror. Now he was even less confident. I signaled him to stay calm, no one would die. As long as everyone doesn't try to be tough, it's fine. Jin Zirun was indeed full of confidence. Don't be cowardly, they don't even have weapons. 16 total, we each handle 4, and that's it. With that, he charged out himself. I'll be the leader, everyone wait for the gold coins. This inexplicable confidence reminded viewers of the idiot from the 7th floor. Our positioning was useless. Zhang Shangjun asked what to do. I said, let's see first. This guy's a knight. Won't die that easily. Some people never learn until they see the coffin. Even if I help him now, he'll still die in the future. Better let him experience it firsthand. The ape leader signaled his subordinates not to move, then shouted Lakuha at Jin Zirun, and walked out of the group alone. Only when Jin Zirun got close did he realize this ape man was at least 3 meters tall. The ape man pointed at him saying, Sumiha, Tulamba. Viewers were curious what he was saying. Though I couldn't fully understand, I could sense he was an old monster. To avoid being replaced by the younger generation, he could only transform survival desire into intense fighting spirit. Jin Zirun smiled confidently. How dare you provoke me? Backing down in front of so many people would be embarrassing. Thinking this, he charged alone at the ape leader. The ape leader slightly shifted and dodged his thrust. Jin Zirun's leg sweep also missed. Since normal attacks don't work, I'll use skills. Thinking this, he injected magic into his spear, then hurled it at the leader with lightning speed, but the leader easily dodged. The leader stepped on his weapon, then raised his fist to punch Jin Zirun. Without his weapon, Jin Zirun could only wait for death. There was a clang. The ape leader's fist was firmly caught by me. Seeing him still dazed, I told him to retreat quickly. This time he obediently crawled away. I wasn't as relaxed as I looked either. Knowing this guy gets harder to deal with the longer it drags, must end the fight quickly. He had already raised his other hand. I timed it right to send him flying. Immediately ducked to avoid his punch. Taking advantage of his backward lean, a blade pierced his chest. Then I looked at the group of 8 men. Every one of them was terrified. I charged at them without hesitation. In less than 10 seconds, I had slain them all under my axe. Soon 2 teleport gates appeared. Li Xiaoxiu asked if I was a veteran who passed the 19th floor. I said just consider me as having passed the 19th floor. Before parting, Jin Zirun asked a question. Do you know what the ape leader Sumiha meant? This answer is important to me, because his eyes looked at me like I was trash. I told him straight that Sumiha means noob. His face turned red. He ran away without even caring about the girl. Zhang Shangjun also came up to say goodbye playfully. I'm just small trash, so won't linger. Maybe your viewers are cursing me. I asked if he'd been watching my stream since the 1st floor. Learning he started following from my 2nd floor. I still thanked him. You donated when you were only on the 10th floor. That wasn't easy. Really, thank you. Hearing this, he smiled with relief. You're really too kind. I only earned coins because of you. He knelt down again to bow, hoping you could clear the 100th floor soon, and wishing you eternal happiness. This made me a bit flustered. Before I could say anything, he'd already jumped toward the teleportation gate, shouting Papuas. I was completely bewildered. Seems like this guy was lying earlier. He must have been watching from the 1st floor too. The audience started teasing me again. I had to focus on the rewards to divert their attention. Without the Magicker's interference, the rewards were indeed quite ordinary. I told the audience I'd return to the 10th floor to change channels before heading to the 13th floor. Finally, I switched to the American channel. When I arrived at the 13th floor, I walked over to the campfire. A bald man immediately asked if this was my first time on the 13th floor. Though the tower has automatic translation, he could tell from my lip movements that I wasn't American. His observation was quite sharp. He burst into hearty laughter, cheerfully introducing himself and asking if I was live streaming. I said no. Barely anyone watches my stream anyway. The bald man then introduced me to the others. Though he seemed friendly and approachable, I already knew their true identities. The audience could instantly tell they were bandits too. They were the notorious Black Scorpion Squad, infamous for their evil deeds. They usually form 6-person teams like this to enter dungeons, then wait for 2 more people to arrive before extorting them. If victims can't pay up, they'll even kill them. Having seen their crimes in videos, I simply couldn't let them off easy. Learning I was a magic engineer made the bald man even happier. He told me I just needed to provide support from the rear. Finally, the system announced the team was assembled. A redhead stumbled out of the teleportation gate, and the bald man immediately rushed over enthusiastically. This redhead named Jack was quite pitiful. He'd just been robbed by bandits on the 12th floor, and now he was being targeted again. Someone nearby couldn't help but laugh out loud. Jack flew into a rage, while the bald man awkwardly claimed he was just happy Jack had survived his ordeal. Soon the trial began, with Jack also assigned to rear support. Continuous barking echoed through the air. Venomous hounds appeared one after another on the snowy ground. Jack reminded the bald man's group to be careful, while the bald man planned to eliminate 20 first, leaving 20 for their scheme. Before they could engage the hounds, I immediately struck, taking down one hound with swift precision. The bald man was puzzled about when I'd moved to the front. Several hounds were already lunging at me from behind, but the next moment they were all skewered like meat on a stick. I said calmly, "Seems like you're not genuinely interested in fighting. Normal people wouldn't stand there shouting. They'd come help." The bald man first noticed the equipment I was wearing. I said it was just ordinary gear. Seeing this, the bald man ordered everyone to regroup. He realized I posed a greater threat than those hounds. The hounds behind me also turned to face me. Magical beasts' instincts are indeed sharper than humans. Caught between the bald man's group and the hounds, I still asked unhurriedly, What exactly are you trying to do? The bald man's face turned vicious. Are you a bounty hunter? Don't claim to be a magic engineer. What you're wearing is clearly Roton series equipment. Only knights can handle the burden these pieces bring. I'll be honest with you. We've dealt with many hunters like you. Hearing this, I retracted my weapon back into my glove. You say I'm not a magic engineer? Then let me show you something interesting. I displayed my mechanical gloves. The gloves flickered with blue light. At this moment, all the hounds charged at me. The next instant, I vanished from my original position. The two lead hounds were killed with a single punch. The other hounds were already trembling with fear, but I had no intention of letting them live either. Seeing this, the bald man sensed trouble. He signaled to the assassin in the tree. While I was still focused on the hounds before me, sensing the threat, they huddled together. Exactly what I wanted. I raised my hand, then fired an energy cannon. The ground was carved into a furrow, with only one charred hound corpse lying there. I was quite satisfied with the result. Though not as devastating as last time, it significantly reduced magic consumption. The recoil was much smaller than before too. At this moment, a transparent figure crouched in the tree behind me. Thinking this was the perfect moment to strike, while I was relaxed after defeating the magical beasts, he dove down at me. I appeared to be examining my gloves without a care, but the next moment, my coat pierced through his arm. The clear completion notification sounded, and the teleportation gate appeared. The remaining bandits all rushed toward the gate in panic. I flashed in front of them. We haven't finished our business yet. Where are you all rushing off to? They were all speechless. I pointed at the teleportation gate with a smile. Mr. Jack, you go ahead first. After he left, I maintained my kind smile. If you cooperate properly, this shouldn't take too long. So how many coins do you all have? Hearing this, they stepped back slightly. A blond man spoke with a complex expression. My friend, there might be some misunderstanding between us. His words didn't move me, because I knew if I let them continue their ways, they'd only commit more heinous crimes. The purple-haired one started to speak, but I grabbed him by the throat with my equipment. Let me establish the rules first. First, no one speaks without my permission. Second, no lying. I tossed the purple-haired man to the ground. Since no one objects, I'll assume you understand. I clearly just said they could only speak when I asked questions, yet this brown-haired fool thought I was some kind of saint and dared to point fingers at me, even trying to incite his companions to steal my equipment. However, the others didn't dare breathe heavily. When he realized his partner's expressions were wrong, a tentacle-like thing had already reached his face, suddenly wrapping around his tongue. I said calmly, "Everyone watch closely. This is what happens when you break the rules." With a thought, his tongue fell to the ground. Does anyone else have objections? Speak up now. After a moment, I shrugged. Since no one's talking, I'll take that as agreement. Whoever has healing potions, go treat him. The purple-haired man immediately rushed over to support the brown-haired one after getting permission. Now, bald gentleman, please step forward. Hearing this, the bald man walked forward trembling with fear. I immediately gave him a thumbs up. Mr. Baldy, though you're seen as despicable scum by others, your teammates all think you're a good captain. The bald man weakly asked, "What exactly are you trying to say?" I told him to accept my friend request. He looked shocked. "How do you know my username?" I glared at him menacingly, and he didn't dare say more. "The rest of you turn around. The injured can sit and rest." I asked the bald man knowingly, "Did I just say you were a good captain?" The bald man found my question inexplicable but could only answer whatever I asked. "If that's the case, then your ambitions surely extend beyond the present. So you should be prepared to push toward the 20th floor, right? And regarding your teammates' coins, you must have given them advice without reservation. Now please send me the amount of coins each team member carries through friend message. I advise you not to lie. If there's a significant discrepancy, I'll be very disappointed." I made it this complicated because the tower has settings preventing random theft of others' coins. If users die, their coins disappear with them, which is why the bald man's group used such troublesome methods to extort money. But the bald man refused. "We're brothers who've shared hardships together. What's your real purpose in doing this?" I whispered in his ear. "Soon you'll achieve great success on the 20th floor. Then you'll say your biggest regret was being too eager to climb up, abandoning the magic stones hidden underground on the 10th floor." Hearing this, he was no longer calm. I knew from the videos that the bald man was naturally suspicious. He worried his teammates might die while carrying coins, so he used coins to buy magic stones and hid them. Since magic stones are like gold in the real world, their value fluctuates very little. How about this? As long as you hand over all your current coins, I won't touch your magic stones and can even send you to the 10th floor. The bald man thought seriously. This guy knew my username. Finding the magic stones probably wouldn't be difficult either. He then sent me the coin amounts his teammates carried via message. Seeing this, I called over the brown-haired troublemaker. "If you have over 2,000 coins, nod. If not, shake your head." He shook his head. "Strange. Mr. Baldy told me as of yesterday you still had 3,000 coins. He immediately nodded frantically. I showed a kind smile. "Don't joke with me anymore. From now on, if you hide even one coin, don't expect to leave alive." In the end, they offered up 12,000 coins total, 150% less than what the bald man reported. "Now I'll ask once more. Are you absolutely certain you haven't hidden a single coin?" They nodded anxiously. Then I made them hand over all their potions too. After getting everything, I walked to the teleportation gate. "Good. Now it's time to say goodbye." Hearing this, they felt the joy of surviving a disaster. But my Roton's coat began twisting again, and 6 screams echoed across the snowy ground. They were crawling or lying on the ground. I said coldly, "Some of you harass children, some murder a person daily. and others do even more unforgivable things. What a bunch of scum. They could only roar helplessly. I grabbed one of them and told them, "The 14th floor trial ahead is a maze. A trial that requires 6 people working together. Since you happen to be 6 people, I'll give you a hand." I dragged him toward the 14th floor teleportation gate and threw the first person in. As for why I'm not keeping my promise, it's because you definitely still have coins. My reward box had already dropped at my feet. After all, even if you've cleared the 13th floor several times, each person would have at least 1 coin as a reward, right? The bald man finally understood. "You're clearly cheating, bastard. I'll curse you for life." I ignored his words completely. With one leg missing, trying to clear the 14th floor would be harder than climbing to heaven. The audience finally realized I was a kind and talented young man. Next came the reward confirmation phase. This time's rewards were still quite ordinary, I told the audience. Then walked toward the 14th floor teleportation gate. This was a maze trial, where the maze's size was proportional to the total difficulty of all members. As soon as I entered, I saw the earlier users discussing strategy. A bearded leader approached me. Seeing I was alone and of Asian appearance, he found it incredible. He then introduced me to the other 4 team members. I voiced my confusion. "Is this your first time challenging the 14th floor? You seem like you've known each other for a long time." They should know the 14th floor requires 6 people, but their team only had 5. Turns out one of their members got injured on the 13th floor and returned to the 10th floor to recover. Originally, the bearded man's group wanted to wait for him to heal before clearing together, but that teammate firmly refused. He also assured me not to worry. They weren't bad people. Actually, I wasn't worried, just felt it was a bit of a pity. After introductions, we began discussing how to tackle this maze. The rules were simple. Start from 4 cardinal directions, east, south, west, north. As long as someone reaches the maze center, the mission is complete. But this maze's clear route changes with each trial, and the maze size isn't fixed either, so it depends more on luck. Among the 4 directions, only one has relatively fewer monsters and traps. Even so, the bearded man didn't recommend going alone, because choosing wrong could be fatal. But for me, traveling with others would make me hesitant. So I decided, I'll take one path alone and you 5 go together. The bearded man immediately got agitated. "What do you take us for? Though we just met, how can we let you risk it alone?" I gave them a clear answer. With my abilities, I can definitely clear this floor. The bearded man remained stubborn, fearing I'd throw my life away needlessly. So having teammates who are too kind is also a burden. I said decisively, "I'll stand here and not move until you set off. You decide for yourselves." Only then did the bearded man's group compromise. Finally, he gave me a recovery potion. "Anyway, if you sense danger, stop immediately. With our 5-person strength, we can definitely solve the maze." I agreed, watching them disappear on the spot. I then set off from the north. When they first entered, things went quite smoothly. They even had the leisure to worry about whether this stranger was safe. Soon after, they encountered troublesome blood-sucking creatures, the most challenging enemies on the 14th floor because their blood can corrode weapons. Now the bearded man's group couldn't scrape together a single decent weapon. Just when they didn't know what to do next, sounds of crumbling stone came from behind the wall, along with some creatures' cries. Suddenly, a gap appeared in the stone wall, and I stood right in the middle of the opening. I grinned and greeted them. "Is everyone all right?" Not long before, I had just teleported to the northern starting point, when Baron popped out on his own. I was curious what he wanted to do. He had me put him on the ground. I asked if he was hungry. He shook his head, then hopped over to the stone wall. I thought he needed to relieve himself, but unexpectedly he bared his fangs. Those perverted viewers actually found this cute too. Then he went wild gnawing on the stone wall. Could those black walls contain magic? But I'd never heard of black magic stones. Seeing him glow blue all over, even the audience got curious. Then the other 2 jumped out too. Baron communicated with them briefly, then they also started eating voraciously. I was somewhat puzzled. I feed them magic stones whenever I have time? Seeing my confusion, Baron dragged a stone over to my feet, holding it above his head and calling Papuas. I took the stone and said I wasn't angry, thanking Baron. Then I took out my mechanical gloves and replaced the blood ruby with the stone Baron gave me. If this was a magic stone, my gloves would activate, but the result disappointed me. Apparently not a magic stone. But with the 3 little ones' comfort, I quickly recovered. Let's continue then. As the audience said, flying over or crossing walls would result in punishment. But I didn't know about going through the middle of walls. When I reached a fork in the path, I was wondering which way to go, when a light pillar rose in the distance, commotion caused by blood-sucking creatures. Seems like the bearded man's group was over there too. So I asked the Papuas if they could break through this kind of wall. Hearing this, Lasha jumped down, glowing blue all over with mouth wide open. He actually broke through the wall in one go. He ran ahead without looking back. I told the audience and chased after him, but my running speed couldn't keep up with his wall-drilling pace. "Wait, don't break through that wall yet!" But he still punched right through, looking quite proud of himself. I immediately picked him up and told him to be quiet, then hid them behind my back before walking out. I almost got discovered by the bearded man's group just now. They didn't notice the Papuas. I just felt embarrassed about the situation. I also took the opportunity to make an excuse and slip away. "Since you no longer have equipment for protection, just wait here. See you later." I quickly retreated as I spoke, soon disappearing from their sight. The female mage then voiced her confusion. "I think I heard Papuas sounds just now, but that might have been Mr. Talented making them." Only when I reached a corner did I relax. Then I put the Papuas on the ground. "Charge ahead, little ones. Just head toward where the light pillar is. So they advanced with devastating force, quickly breaking through the final wall. The light pillar was right ahead, and the three little ones cheered joyfully. But the next moment I stuffed them back into my backpack, because those people would be teleported here soon too. After securing the Papuas, I touched the light pillar. The trial completion notification sounded. The bearded man's group was amazed, but the next moment turned to joy. Then two teleportation gates appeared simultaneously. The bearded man stepped forward and gave me a bear hug. This guy even used Knight's strength trying to squeeze me to death. Thanks to you we could clear this. Though we want to give you some coins to thank you, we're all broke. The others also thanked me profusely, then said goodbye, heading back to the 10th floor to visit their friend. After they left, I began thinking about the 15th floor trial content. It takes place in the northern Atral region. There you can learn many skills to improve combat power. If there's no magic or interference, I could easily clear it with my strength. But those scenes he showed me last time didn't seem like simple fantasies. The audience could see I was worried about the 15th floor trial, but I quickly changed the subject, saying I'd confirm the rewards before departing. This box was still quite ordinary, with even more ordinary rewards inside. Just 1,000 coins and a longsword. I was about to say let's go, when an audience member tipped me 1,000 coins, saying they wanted to become my box. Open up, coins incoming. Then all the audience members tipped me various amounts. I could only awkwardly thank them, then headed toward the 10th floor teleportation gate. Though I wanted to go to the 15th floor now, I had to return to the 10th floor to reorganize. Plus there was something on the 10th floor I absolutely had to take with me. On the 10th floor I went to the Traveler Management office. I said I wanted information on the Black Scorpion Squad's address, then filled out the paperwork as the staff required. But things weren't that simple. To find the Black Scorpion Squad's address, I switched channels 87 times and visited 87 Traveler Management offices. Finally I found it, a dim alley that really suited those scumbags. I tried knocking first, but learning no one was home, I just kicked the door down. Entering the room, I showed a wicked smile. Rather than searching slowly myself, I had a faster method. 3 magic stone radars. I took out a small piece of magic stone. This is what magic stones smell like. Can you find more? Getting their orders, they immediately scattered. Soon, Lasha was happily bouncing in place. Seems like the magic stones were hidden in this spot. I rudely stomped through the floor. Magic stones of various sizes were revealed beneath the floorboards. My grin was harder to suppress than an AK rifle. Moments later, I packed my bag full while the Papuas watched drooling nearby. Finally, I still left a few pieces for them as snacks. Then I sold all that junk through the trading system, only keeping some magic stones for my gloves. Unexpectedly, my total coins reached over 80,000. I could buy a complete Roton series set, even reaching the 20th floor. The audience was already urging me to head to the 15th floor. They also asked if I'd use the American channel. I said I'd switch back to my own countries. After all, I still wanted subscriber rewards. Though I might encounter audience members, gaining followers was most important. This time on the 15th floor, I'd learn Knight skills, since it's the best place to acquire Knight's power. And to perfectly control the Roton series, I must improve my physical capabilities. Thinking this, I walked into the teleportation gate. But why did I appear outside the city gates? Originally, 15th floor users gathered at the trial source in the city center, and time seemed frozen. Previously, users could chat while waiting, but was this the Magickers doing again? I took one step forward, only then remembering the personnel assembly completion notification. Then the cold wind began blowing normally. I quickly walked toward the city gates. I had to reach the trial support first. Just thinking this, a deep voice rang out. Who are you? I don't think I've seen you before. Look at your fine clothes. Are you also a traveler? I quickly greeted him while imperceptibly backing away. The audience was also telling me to run quickly. Just seeing me, he wanted to shake hands. Though I knew he had ulterior motives, I had no choice now. Sure enough, as soon as my hand was grasped, tremendous force transmitted from his hand. Then he showed a strange smile, his aura growing even stronger. I saw his right leg lift up. I immediately used my Roton's coat to steady myself. The next moment, my side felt like it was hit by a cannonball, yet I only staggered 2 steps. At this point, Ham's face showed an amused smile. I bent down and said with some difficulty, "Your way of greeting people is a bit excessive." He didn't care. Consider it a necessary procedure for coming here. Hearing this, I was also somewhat displeased. From your stance, you clearly wanted to kill me. He said that to spare my life, he had specifically moderated his strength. I just felt a wave of fear. This was called moderated strength? Even Roton's equipment was completely ineffective. Seems like there's no reasoning with him. Since the necessary procedure is over, can I pass now? But he directly said no. I asked if there was something he needed me to do. Just say it. I'll do whatever I can. Hearing this, his attitude changed. You're quite straightforward, unlike other Empire folks. Now start copying what I say, and shout it out confidently and loudly. I was somewhat speechless. Didn't expect it to be this simple. His personality really is the most unpredictable. I saw him take a deep breath and shout loudly, "Kurom Lakanta!" The sound carried extremely far. Standing before him, I felt my eardrums about to burst. Before I could recover, he pointed at me. "How about it? You can do it, right?" I hesitated slightly. Then his expression darkened. "If you didn't hear clearly, I'll do it again." I quickly said no need, but asked what those words meant. "You don't need to know. Don't be so wishy-washy." I was absolutely firm. "If I don't even know the meaning, I won't shout it." He no longer insisted, instead turning to lead the way. "Anyway, since it's your first time, you probably don't know how great Talsha is yet. Hearing this, I silently followed. Though he attacked me upon first meeting, I originally came to find his help anyway. After all, Barahham is one of Talsha's greatest warriors. I've long wanted to learn his method of breaking skill forms. If I could break skill forms, then in the future it wouldn't be my body following skills, but my body utilizing and manipulating skills. Meeting him now was actually a good start. Soon I followed him to the city walls. He leaned against a large cannon and asked if I knew what that was. Of course I know. It's a magic cannon. He said this weapon was only in development stages in the Empire. In the final battle, they lured the Empire folks to prepared positions, then finished them off in one go. After that, they said they'd also manufacture such weapons. Now that the snow's stopped, let's fire one shot to test it. He pointed into the distance. See that black thing? It wasn't this big originally. We wanted to investigate but got blocked by a bunch of unseen magical beasts. Since we weren't in great condition, we didn't engage them much. Do you know where those monsters came from? I said I didn't know, but how could I not know? By now he'd placed a sizable magic stone into the cannon barrel, then struck it hard and shouted, "They're popping out of that black thing!" The magic cannon was already charging up. The audience didn't know what he was doing. He didn't even adjust the angle. However, the magic cannon's projectile shot directly at that black thing. The thing was pierced through and burst into flames. Ham complained, "That thing like a giant turd dared try to destroy Great Talsha. How infuriating. But don't you find it interesting? This damn world keeps repeatedly perishing. Yet after each destruction, I only retain vague memories, barely able to realize everything in this world is repeating." Hearing this, I remained silent. The 15th floor was indeed different from the 5th. People here remember the outcome of each world's destruction. The source of world destruction was what he called the seed heart. It takes root here, then absorbs all surrounding life force to bloom. When it flowers, it'll continuously spawn magical beasts, bringing catastrophic disaster to Talsha. I want to learn from you how to become a warrior. You're not just crazy, but also very powerful. This made him laugh heartily. Looks like someone wants you to suffer terribly. Though many travelers want me to teach them, most can't even last an hour. Hearing this, my expression grew serious. "So you're refusing me?" He spread his hands and shook his head. "What are you saying? I'm not that heartless." Hearing this, the audience disagreed, having witnessed this man's cold-blooded cruelty. "How about this? I'll give you a task. Get used to Talsha first, then come back. After all, if you go head-to-head with me right away, you probably won't live long." I also voiced my confusion. If Talsha is destroyed again, you'll only retain vague memories. How can you guarantee you'll remember me next time? He assured me not to worry. Such a special traveler wouldn't be easily forgotten. But if you insist on learning now, that's not impossible either. Seeing his crazed expression, I chickened out. "Then I'll accept the task first and come ask for your guidance next time." He also agreed with my choice, but noted I seemed to have already received a task. Hearing this, I immediately opened the interface. Sure enough, the 15th floor task popped up immediately. Eliminate the seed heart. Cannot leave the 15th floor until completing the task. If unable to eliminate the seed heart before it blooms, Talsha will perish. Seeing this task, my expression looked terrible. I'd wondered if the magicker would cause trouble, but didn't expect him to be this insane. From this situation, if I can't complete the task, I'll perish along with Talsha. The audience all scorned the magicker, knowing it's impossible to eliminate the seed heart on the 15th floor. I was clear too. Even if all 50 players on the 15th floor worked together on this task, they might not damage the seed heart at all. Ham asked if something was wrong and offered help if needed. I declined, then told him I'd come again later. He also gave me a location to find him. Finally, I bowed politely to him. He was somewhat surprised by my attitude change. I walked down the street with a grim expression. The audience defended me in the barrage, but viewers who cursed the magicker immediately left the stream. The audience started cursing directly. The love asked what I planned to do. I said I'd first investigate other users. If they also received this task, we could cooperate to complete it. At this moment, a man burst out of a building and knelt before me, pleading desperately. "Savior, please save us. Lead us away from this endless sea of destruction." I turned and walked away. The audience was right. This was all the evil magicker's doing. To keep Talsha running normally, the magicker left a prophecy for the people here, that a traveler capable of saving them would appear someday. Most users know he's just playing God, making Talsha's residents believe they'll eventually escape this endless suffering so they don't mentally collapse. But for users, Talsha is just one stop in their tower climbing journey. They surely know this too, but still choose to be deceived. I was powerless against this situation. Better focus on completing my own trial first. Soon after, I finally reached the user gathering area. I approached a man and woman who were talking. They were initially wary, but relaxed their guard upon learning I was also a user. Then came normal introductions. I asked if they'd received any tasks. The mage opened her interface. It showed no tasks received yet. Seeing this, my heart sank further. The man asked if I wanted to add friends. I thought if I could somehow get them to help eliminate the seed heart, that wouldn't be bad. But since adding friends requires knowing usernames, I decided to add them later. I didn't want to expose the name Kim Jeju-2 so early. I remained unmoved by the audience's teasing. After some consideration, I decided to find Ham first. I couldn't find him on the tower, but saw the brightest place at sunset. That was also the location he gave me. Soon I reached the building below. It was even taller and more imposing than I'd imagined. A dog saw me and barked frantically, but I still opened the door. and told it to stop barking. Then Ham's voice rang out. I wondered who it was. So, have you solved all your problems? Before I could even start talking business, he invited me in for dinner. Pressured by his warm invitation, I walked through his front door. The inside was completely different from what I'd imagined. It was decorated like a cozy family home. But now I'm conflicted about whether to take off my shoes, feeling guilty about going in with them on. Seeing my dilemma, Ham told me to just go in directly. A woman immediately greeted me warmly. Welcome! Are you also a traveler who came to Talsha this time? Seeing this, I took off my hat and introduced myself. She said her name was Chalet. My husband is inviting a traveler home for dinner for the first time. I didn't expect it to be such a cute young man. This comment made me feel a bit awkward. The love boss immediately asked what I was doing, and other viewers started teasing too. Meanwhile, the master of this house looked menacing, asking what I was doing and telling me to sit down quickly. Chalet brought out the food, breaking the awkward situation. However, before we'd eaten much, Chalet asked Ham aggressively, how long do you plan to keep playing on the city wall? Shouting Kantala all day long. Ham immediately panicked. I didn't expect him to be so whipped. Then he suddenly jumped up and patted my shoulder, saying he could see I was almost done eating. Let's go outside and chat. I was about to say I hadn't eaten enough, but he rushed out like a flash. I could only sheepishly tell Mrs. Chalet that I was full. After all, eating isn't as important as getting stronger. Going outside, I saw Ham petting the dog's head while complaining. If it weren't for Chalet and this little guy, I would have gone crazy long ago. Having such a wife is my blessing, he said while laughing proudly. But his expression suddenly turned serious. However, are you really a traveler? I said, of course. If that's the case, I want to ask what we look like in your eyes. Knowing that Talsha will be destroyed, yet foolishly repeating this kind of life, don't you think we're ridiculous? I said I absolutely never thought that way. He released his pressure and approached me menacingly. Just like that, I looked straight ahead and answered that's right. But this made him laugh heartily again. I really don't understand what you're thinking. But it seems you're not the type to use flowery words. I think you're pretty good like this. I felt somewhat flattered. I also explained my current difficult situation and that I must become a warrior immediately. Hearing this, he grinned mischievously. It must be because of your quest. Then we'll meet tomorrow. I advise you to get a good night's sleep tonight. I was somewhat surprised why he didn't ask for the reason. Let's talk tomorrow. You can sleep here tonight. Seeing him walk into the building, I stayed where I was. Normally, users would go to the lodging facilities at the trial source when they need rest. But now I don't even have enough time to train, let alone waste time going back and forth. The next morning, shouting echoed in the yard, "Traveler, what kind of power do you want?" I rubbed my swollen head and complained, "Won't you even give me time to wash up and eat?" He was quite energetic, saying food tastes better after working up a sweat. Hearing this, I straightforwardly said I wanted to learn the Empire's axe techniques. After all, the axe is the weapon I'm most familiar with, and also the weapon that Talsha warriors are best at. Hearing this, he asked, "From what you're saying, you've already learned Empire skills." I said I hadn't. But he pointed at my clothes, saying that outfit is quite an eyesore, take it off immediately. He also said this clothing has self-awareness and will protect its owner. Wearing it will only hinder training. Then he started pinching and poking me all over. "I didn't expect you to have such a good physique, you must be very popular with girls." I broke out in cold sweat. Seeing this, he started limbering up. "Then let's begin now." I didn't get to have enough fun when we first met. With that, he threw a punch at me. I quickly dodged to the side, then I pulled back to create distance. "At least give me a heads up before starting. And this looks like you're trying to kill me." However, he showed a sinister smile. "Next target is the leg." After saying this, he whipped his leg at me. I immediately mobilized my magic power to block. The next instant, a loud bang came from my leg. "Didn't you say you hadn't learned any skills? How can you still use natural force?" I told him to stop teasing me, and you said this was training. Cut the chatter. This time, I'm going to smash your head. Seeing I couldn't dodge, I raised my arms to protect my head. A tremendous force transmitted through my hands. I felt like I'd been hit by a 10-ton hammer. He smiled sinisterly again. "It's not over yet. Let me see how long you can hold out." Next, he would announce which body part he was attacking each time, and I could block most of his attacks. But his strength was really no joke. After an hour, my body was covered in bruises, and I really couldn't take it anymore. I fell backward onto the ground. He walked over to me and asked inexplicably, "You said you haven't learned Empire skills, right?" I was breathing heavily, not knowing why he asked this question. Then the system window automatically popped up. "Skill generated, Talsha Combat Arts LV1. How's that? Are you satisfied?" Hearing this, I smiled with relief, feeling that today's beating wasn't in vain. Although I'd watched strategy tower videos, I never expected this skill to be obtained this way. Although the system doesn't explicitly specify, for convenience users have divided skills into two types. Those that need to be actively used are called active skills. Those that trigger passively at any time are called passive skills. Generally speaking, only frequent use of active skills can generate passive skills, and the active skill level needs to be particularly high to have hope. For users, the more passive skills learned, the better, because these skills can improve user combat power without consuming magic power or other resources. This time, I really struck gold. Ham also looked proud at this moment. Seems I didn't waste my effort. Hearing his words, it felt like he wasn't very certain before either. He quickly defended himself, saying he thought I didn't want to get beaten anymore, so I was talking nonsense. Hearing this made me even more certain he didn't have complete confidence before. But I still shouted with full energy, again. After saying this, I charged forward with an arrow step. Ham was also startled. This guy's speed and movements are no less than Talsha warriors. He actually learned to imitate my movements just by watching a few times. Thinking this, the fist had already reached his face. He easily raised his hand to block, then sighed. Seems it's only the momentum that's similar. The attack movements are still very crude. However, my knee had already thrust upward. His body trembled slightly. I smiled proudly. What were you sighing about just now? After saying this, I felt a tremendous force from my hand. I was careless. How did I not notice such an obvious move? I immediately regretted it. Seems I shouldn't have provoked him. Actually, I just wanted to see if this skill was useful. But once I rushed out, I changed my mind, because my body felt light as if it could fly. I experienced the feeling of my body moving as I willed for the first time. That's why my confidence exploded. I weakly asked him, "Can you let go of me now?" But his hand gripped even tighter. If there was an enemy in front of you, would you also ask him to let you go like this? So next I just kept getting beaten. The attacks came even more fiercely than before. He laughed heartily. "This feels great, don't you think?" I complained bitterly while my body kept shaking. "I think you want to kill me." Then Chalet's voice called out, "That's enough, come eat breakfast quickly." Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. At least I saved my life. But the training results were also significant. Talsha combat arts had already risen to level 2. The audience was all surprised. They'd never seen a passive skill improve this quickly. I was clear about this too. Ham's fists, though carrying some personal emotion, he really was a good teacher. Looking at the gloomy weather, I sighed. What beautiful weather today. Then I asked the audience seriously, "Aren't you going to eat?" These were all old viewers who knew I wanted to change the subject. But I pretended not to see. Then I looked at Ham nearby, who was feeding the dog, thinking that the 3 little ones should be hungry in the bag. Ham suddenly mentioned my quest. "I think the reason you came here is because you received a quest. But it's strange, with your ability plus that outfit, ordinary quests shouldn't be difficult for you." I said I mentioned before that I originally just wanted to learn skills from him. But he hit the nail on the head. With your current state, learning would still be quite difficult. I guess your plan was disrupted. Either you don't want to accept that quest, or it's an impossible quest to complete. My expression also became serious. "So what do you want to ask?" He suddenly pointed into the distance. "What you need to eliminate is that thing, am I right?" After hesitating for a moment, I honestly admitted it. "Do you think eliminating that thing is a meaningless act?" But he said, "Every matter has its meaning. What seems meaningless to others might be extremely important to the person involved." Hearing his words, I was silent for a long time. Then I asked him, "Can you help me?" Hearing this, he turned back with a smile. "Then let's go." Now I was the one who was confused. "Go where?" He pointed toward the seed heart. "There, of course. Know your enemy and know yourself, and you can fight 100 battles without defeat." Isn't this a bit rushed? I haven't learned weapon arts yet. Hearing this, he turned his face away. "If you don't want to, forget it." Seeing this, I could only agree, but if we sense danger, we need to retreat immediately. Of course, let me go pack some things and I'll be back. After he went into the house, I slumped to the ground. If I don't go, he'll definitely be angry. I put down my backpack and was about to pet the dog's head. The Papuas rushed out. They glared fiercely at Ham's dog. I quickly carried them to a distance and apologized to the dog. At this time, Ham had already come out of the room. "Why are these guys with you?" I was startled. I don't know how it ended up like this. Hearing this, he seemed to want to say something but stopped. I pointed at the little dog nearby and asked what its name was. Ham said it's called Kanta. I usually call it Kanta. I suppressed a laugh and said it was a good name. Snow began to fall from the sky. I looked toward the distant seed heart. No matter what, I must eliminate this source of disaster. When we finished breakfast and were about to set off, the 2 people who had been secretly watching finally walked through the door. The red-haired leader politely saluted Ham, and Ham immediately knew he came to see if he had gone crazy. After all, this was his first time hosting travelers. Then he introduced me to them. The red-haired one was also somewhat surprised, clearly just fought like a warrior. But after changing clothes, he looked like an empire person, intimidated by Ham's warning glare. He then introduced himself to me. Ham said the little follower behind was a genius named Karen, ranking second only to the queen in terms of brains. He was modest for a while, then greeted me, but I felt he didn't seem very smart, always looking at my pawpaw with ill intent. At this time, Ham clapped his hands in approval. "I was originally thinking of bringing a few more people, and you just happened to come." Hearing it was going to the seed heart, Leto was a bit cautious. But Ham said it was just for fun, which immediately got him excited. "But I have one condition." Then he took out an axe and pointed at me. "I want to spar with this traveler. At least we need to know each other's level to cooperate, right?" Hearing this, I was excited. "I'm happy to oblige." Then I put down the Papuas again, to avoid accidentally injuring them. Ham asked if I wanted to wear my coat to fight him. I said if the opponent doesn't mind, I'll wear it. Leto was puzzled, and Ham briefly explained. "His coat is like it's alive." Leto was somewhat disdainful. "You're worried about me just because of this? Also get him a weapon." I said it wasn't necessary. Suddenly he was startled, seeming to hear a snake's hissing sound, but there's no snake here. When he looked up, an axe had already appeared in my hand. He became even more disdainful. "Are you imitating our Talsha warriors?" I said this was originally my usual weapon. Although he didn't say it, seeing the axe's style, he still questioned me. "If that's the case, then let's start fighting." With that, he leaped in front of me in 2 or 3 steps. Then he swung his axe with full force, looking like he wasn't planning to hold back. I heard a clang. I caught his axe with some difficulty. Seems you being able to spar with the warrior commander wasn't just luck. You actually reacted. I didn't speak, sweeping horizontally to force him back. Immediately pursued the advantage. One axe swing missed. He hooked my axe with his. With a forceful pull, my axe flew out of my hands. My expression became somewhat grave. The audience all wanted me to blast him with magic cannon, while Leto looked smug. So this is all you've got? I didn't want to use this move originally, but there's no choice now. His body suddenly froze. The axe he wanted to swing was already bound by something unknown, and this was exactly my coat's ability. I said calmly, "Let's stop practicing here for today." Leto was very unwilling. "It's just locking my weapon." Thinking this, he suddenly broke free from the restraint. The expression on his face became increasingly arrogant. I sighed helplessly. Instantly had the Roten coat control him completely. I advised him not to move, so can we end this now? He glared at me fiercely, not speaking for a long time. I didn't want to keep staring at him here. Fortunately, Ham came out to mediate. The sparring ends here. The Traveler won. You have no objections, right? Only then did he admit defeat. Hearing this, I released the coat's ability, saying if I didn't have this coat, I would have lost. He responded unkindly, "A loss is a loss. You as the winner can be a bit happier about it." Actually, I really couldn't be happy. Without Rotan's power, I really couldn't beat him. The second reason was that he wanted to show off in front of Ham, so he got carried away. Soon the four of us set off. They were carrying large and small bags. Only Ham didn't need to carry anything. Ham suddenly asked where the spirits went. I said I was afraid they were too conspicuous, so I put them in the bag. I don't know why they call the Papuas spirits. The audience didn't know either. People only know they're magical beasts that appeared when the world tree's branches broke. But they don't know why they were produced, or how they were produced. Does Ham know something? Walking out of the city wall, we headed toward the Seed Heart. I looked back worriedly and asked Karen if he needed help. He said breathlessly that he didn't need it. Looking at those two people ahead, I felt a wave of emotion. Traveling with the boss is really torture. Karen isn't even a warrior. I was about to suggest resting for a bit when I saw Ham's signal to stop first. I looked up and immediately broke out in cold sweat. It's snowmen, and countless snowmen. Ham blocked one of their heads. The snowman shouted, "Rubera!" Ham shouted back, "Sabera!" At this time, Karen actually drove steel stakes into the ground with his bare hands. This person looks gentle and refined, but turns out to be quite ruthless too. He separated the road and asked me to help them watch the luggage. I thought the three of them were going to fight the snowmen, but Ham said he didn't need to get involved in such small matters. So this became a battle between two men. Countless snowmen charged at them. Leto showed a smile more terrifying than the snowmen's. Everywhere he passed, snowmen fell to the ground. Karen also prepared for battle. He dodged the snowman's attack, then slashed the opponent's thigh. Next, he grabbed the other leg. The huge snowman was easily thrown to the ground by him. Although his strength and speed couldn't match Leto's, the snowmen that Leto missed would all be handled by him. This was cooperation that could only be completed with mutual trust. While I was pondering, a snowman quietly crawled behind me. The next moment, it pounced at me. I just closed my eyes and sent it to its doom. Two more snowmen came in front of me. Before I could attack, their bodies had already exploded. I felt my eardrums were almost shattered. "Can you give me a signal before you act?" But Ham didn't care. Soon the snowmen retreated. Leto confidently bumped fists with Ham. Karen muttered that he's really good at showing off. Leto turned around fiercely. "What did you just say?" I said, "You're really amazing." But Leto was somewhat puzzled. These snowmen usually occupy the mountainside. Why did they come down today? Ham laughed heartily, saying this was also normal. Karen immediately realized things weren't simple. "Did you go to the city wall to cause trouble again?" Ham showed a proud expression. "That's right, just when you were soaking in the tavern." Karen's mouth twitched. "Please don't play around like this anymore. Now everyone regards the Traveler as a savior. Even if you advance the time of destruction, you'll only lose public support." Ham seemed to have been told this before. Anyway, Talsha is destined to be destroyed. Sooner or later, it's all the same. I also heard key information from this. Normally, the seed heart needs a year to bloom. What I saw on the city wall before wasn't even half of a mature body. Logically, that thing still needs at least half a year before blooming. From this perspective, Talsha's early destruction is because of Barahham. In the videos, I also knew Ham was someone who liked to mess around. He often used magic cannons to bombard the seed heart from the city wall. Sometimes he would even run over to attack it. The injured seed heart would frantically absorb life force, and after healing its wounds, the remaining life force became its nourishment, causing it to bloom early. Ham couldn't possibly not know this, so why would he do such things? So I asked Karen, do the people in the city and the higher-ups know about Ham's behavior? Karen also found it troublesome. Maybe they really don't know. Or maybe, after thinking about it, he didn't continue. Looking at him, everyone should know this news. After all, few people in Talsha have enough power to suppress all information. On the road, Ham suddenly asked if I knew why specific areas around Talsha had no snow. Karen wanted to stop him from speaking. But Leto stopped him instead. The warrior commander must have his own thoughts. "Why are you being so uptight?" Ham continued explaining. "Because Talsha has a beautiful and warm stone. They use that stone to have someone create a certain device, equivalent to a heating system. The audience all said they'd never heard of such a thing. This was also intelligence not seen in videos. I was very curious why Ham was telling me these things. Of course it's to tell you secrets other travelers don't know. But now the audience all knew, though they couldn't come down. So now you are Kanta. I was a bit speechless. Isn't that the dog's name? He suddenly patted my back. I'll tell you when the time is right. My face turned pale, because right in front of me was the location of the seed heart, beating powerfully like a heart, and the ground around it was covered with blood that hadn't dried. I stepped forward and heard its increasingly loud heartbeat, like a fetus in its mother's womb, and when it blooms, Talsha will become hell. My quest was actually to eliminate this thing. At this time, Ham said sheepishly behind me, "It's grown bigger during this time." Karen was speechless. Just look at who's doing this is. But it seems like a great battle broke out here. Looks like all the corpses were absorbed by this thing. Karen asked Ham what to do now. After all, we brought a traveler, we should go back quickly. Ham strode forward. Where's the traveler? Kanta, come with me quickly. I looked at Karen's panicked gestures as if telling me to run away quickly. But this was a good opportunity to observe it up close. Ham had so much contact with it, he should know something. I saw he had already placed his hand on the seed heart's root. I asked him if he remembered our agreement. He said, of course he remembered. Retreat when encountering danger. I stepped forward weakly. So you seem to be creating danger. What danger? Your quest isn't to eliminate it? You should touch it too. Know your enemy and know yourself to win every battle. I thought about it. What he said made sense. So I decisively placed my hand on it. At that moment, I felt vibrant life force. This thing looks like a plant, but it's actually not. Ham said it is indeed alive, and it's devouring the surrounding life. Really unbearable, it's this thing taking root and sprouting around Talsha that forced Talsha into a desperate situation. Hearing his words, I had a bad feeling. Looking at the other two who had already hidden, I was suddenly speechless. Kanta, watch carefully. His words brought me back to attention. I saw him raise his fist. One punch exploded the seed heart, and those two people obviously weren't seeing this for the first time. I was getting more and more unable to figure out Ham's true strength. The seed heart that didn't get injured fighting a group of snowmen was actually smashed by his one punch. Even if the seed heart wanted to recover, it should take quite some time, right? But while I was thinking, the seed heart actually recovered instantly. What terrifying regeneration ability. Ham patted my shoulder. Maybe you're destined for a dead end. Just then, it suddenly contracted. A black mass was spit out by it. This mass scattered in the air, then fell around us. Then they kept wriggling. In just a few seconds, a pair of wings appeared. Seeing this, I was quite surprised. These are scavengers, and in very large numbers. Karen complained, Warrior Commander, when I get back I'm telling Lady Chalet that you came here to seek death again. Hearing this, Ham snorted coldly, saying he'd chat with him about it later. Now let's deal with these guys first. Not long after, the last scavenger fell to the ground. I also breathed a sigh of relief. Didn't expect the battle to end so quickly. But this wasn't unexpected either, especially since Ham the Warrior Commander also participated. He eliminated a large group of scavengers with one move. Only then did Karen walk over angrily. Can we go back now? I'm begging you. Ham scratched his itchy ear. He turned and asked me, satisfying enough? I didn't answer, but stared thoughtfully at the seed heart. This guy would absorb all the life force on the mountain just to stay alive. Ham came beside me and advised, can you eliminate it just by staring at it? Why don't you come back with me for a drink? Now I somewhat understand Ham's feelings. Even if he doesn't attack the seed heart, Talsha will eventually be destroyed. He's just advancing the time a bit, and his purpose in coming here this time was to tell me that this thing can't be eliminated. But I didn't want to accept such a result, so I told him it wasn't satisfying enough. If I go back like this, it won't cause it any harm at all. Instead, it will severely damage my confidence. Thinking this, I strode forward. Rotan's shoe soles extended spikes. Then I climbed onto the seed heart's body. Stepping on it made it whimper. Such an evil thing, yet it's acting weak here. Karen also asked what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to have a match with it. At this moment, I firmly fixed my body on the seed heart, then revealed the modified gloves I hadn't used in a long time. If I want to completely eliminate this thing, I need absolutely powerful firepower, making it turn to ash before it can regenerate, aiming at the gap where the flower bud opens. I fully activated the glove's magic power. Just as the audience said, if I can't completely eliminate it, I'll only make it grow faster again. By then, the remaining time won't be a month, it might be a week or even shorter. But if I retreat now, it will only get stronger, and my chance of failure will only increase. And there will be other powerful magical beasts coming out to block me, so now is actually the best opportunity. Damn manager, forcing me into such a desperate situation, maybe this is his death sentence for me. While thinking, the glove had finished charging. The shoes continued piercing into the seed heart's body to stabilize my form. The next instant, powerful energy burst from the glove, shooting directly into the center of the flower bud. My eardrums were already bleeding from the shock. Feeling the threat, the seed heart began shaking violently. I tried my best to steady myself, but the glove had already started flickering, meaning the magic cannon's energy was almost used up. If I let it recover, next time there would be even less hope. Thinking this, I activated the Roten coat, then stabbed into the seed heart's body. I pried the wound open. Suddenly it trembled. Another mass was spit out, brown-colored, likely gatekeepers. Probably feeling threatened, even without entering maturity, it started spitting out high-level monsters. If the numbers were the same as the previous scavengers, even Ham would be too busy to look after me. Seems I need to hurry. Thinking this, I burrowed through its wound. Because of its self-healing ability, the wound was constantly being repaired, and the space inside was continuously shrinking. Perhaps I really will die here. Thinking this, I said to the audience, just in case, let me say goodbye first. Big brothers, thank you for supporting me all this time. The surrounding flesh walls pressed toward me. At this time, the backpack's zipper opened by itself. The Papuas came out one by one, crying bitterly. I scolded them to go back quickly, but this time they didn't listen to me. I saw their fur extend. Then they used all their strength to resist the surrounding flesh walls. Their fur emitted wisps of black smoke. I could see they were in great pain, but they kept enduring. Because Papuas are beings born after the world tree broke, their attributes repel demonic aura. Even just touching the seed heart causes them tremendous pain. I felt choked up and said sorry to them. I raised the modified glove again. A super strong magic cannon blasted out. In short, the heart was visibly injured. Seeing it was effective, I also felt a glimmer of hope. I was thinking of doing it again. Suddenly my mind went blank. Seems like I didn't have magic power to continue attacking. To be honest, I still wanted to punch the manager in the face. I don't know how long passed. Noisy talking voices rang in my ears. It was Barahham and Karen. They seemed to be discussing something important. But am I still alive? Hearing Karen say the seed heart was about to bloom, I turned over, feeling somewhat sorry for them. At this time I also saw the Papuas. They usually wake up when they hear movement, but now they were unresponsive. Seems demonic energy had seriously invaded their bodies, but to treat them I must reach the 20th floor. Only there can I buy holy water to purify demonic energy, but I must save them. At this time, Leto asked Ham why he told this traveler about the sunstone. Ham glanced at me. Because I wanted to know how much this kid really understands. Seems I misunderstood. At this time, I suddenly sat up. Please repeat what you just said, what else don't I know? Leto and Karen were both shocked. Only Ham seemed to have expected this. This matter isn't urgent, come eat first. The audience also put their minds at ease. But they were very worried about the Papuas. I also said I was anxious. Ham beckoned again. I will definitely tell you, but before that, you need to eat first. I could only obediently sit beside him. He was very curious why the Papuas all fell ill while I was like nothing happened. I said this clothing saved me, but actually it was because of the bracelet's demon-breaking function. Ham also complained that to fish me out, this clothing caused him great trouble. Only then did I know he was the one who pulled me out. Thank you so much. But why did you save me? You should know that what I did would only advance Talsh's destruction time. The seed heart is still alive and well, and could spit out higher-level magical beasts at any time. Hearing this, Ham's expression became serious. Leto, tell me when we Talsha warriors abandon our Kanta. When Kanta dies or runs away like a coward, clearly you don't possess these qualities. As he spoke, a piece of grilled meat was handed over. Only when you're full will you have strength to do what you want to do. I was a bit moved, so he was grilling meat for me just now. So I wolfed it down. 2 minutes later, I finished it. I recovered some energy and wiped my mouth, saying it was really delicious. Then another piece of grilled meat was handed over, but I was already full now. Just wanted to ask about your conversation earlier. Ham also generously said, ask whatever you want. I first asked how small that sunstone was. Ham gestured. About this small, as for where it is, I don't know either. Hearing this, I fell into thought. Even he doesn't know. If I could get the sunstone, maybe I could destroy the seed heart. Among those who know about the sunstone, only the queen has higher status than Ham. If that's the case, then I must go see her. After seeing the gloves I used, Ham and the others all knew my next plan, which was to use the sunstone to replace the blood garnet, then aim at the seed heart for a killing blow. But Ham told me, if I use the sunstone, I'll probably be blown to smithereens. I said I was mentally prepared. People must die eventually, so I want to give it my all. Hearing this, Ham no longer objected, and even said he'd help me get to the inner city. As for tonight, I'll stay here first. I opened my backpack and took out magic stones. Little guys, want to eat some magic stones? The Papuas had no reaction. If it were normal times, they would have pounced over already. Seems this time I really got them seriously injured. Perhaps seeing my mood was somewhat low. Ham said he wanted to sing to liven things up. Leto proudly told me there are over 20 songs containing Baraham's name, so he wanted to show off, right? As for the singing work, it was naturally assigned to Karen. I have to say, his singing was really beautiful. Even the audience said his voice was simply heavenly. A smile also appeared on my face. The next day we returned to Ham's residence. From their words I learned that the monsters the seed heart spit out later were all eliminated by Ham. But even though he's so powerful, he can only watch Talsha's destruction. Soon after, Ham said we could go find the queen. I entrusted the sickly 3 little ones to Ham's care. After all, I can't guarantee they'll be safe staying with me now. After saying goodbye, Karen and I immediately went to the city. In my hurry, I walked ahead and almost gave myself away. Kanta, why are you walking in front of me? Do you know the way? I said I'm just naturally a fast walker, but there's no time to worry about that now. This morning, the Heart of Seeds had already bloomed 3 petals, with less than 2 days left until it fully opens. At this moment, the audience asked if I would turn off the live stream like last time. I said no, this time I need everyone's help. Shamelessly, I told them, big brothers, give me some gold coins. You've all stopped tipping lately. Do you think I'm going to die here? They've indeed been giving me very few gold coin tips recently, especially after I received the mission to eliminate the Heart of Seeds. Not a single person has tipped me. After all, they're users just like me. While they genuinely worry about my safety, they'll definitely make the right judgment, believing that I'm doomed and no longer worth investing in. Thinking about this, my fists unconsciously clenched tight. At this moment, soldiers blocked Karen outside, saying only travelers could meet the Queen, and Lord Karen must wait outside. Hearing this, Karen found it unbelievable. I told him it was fine, I could go in by myself. Before entering, I boldly declared to the audience, after clearing the 15th floor, I'll reach the 20th floor as fast as possible. The audience thought I was just fooling them, still believing I was heading to certain death. This gave me quite a headache. The more I talked, the more it would deepen their doubts. After entering, I bowed respectfully. Before me stood Queen Talsha, ruler of the North. How peculiar, Barahham actually recommended a traveler to me. Speak up, what's your purpose in coming here? I directly stated that I needed the Sunstone to eliminate the Heart of Seeds, but she said she didn't need my help. With that, her scepter struck the ground heavily. Because even with your help, our fate doesn't seem like it would change. Hearing this, I insisted again that she must give me the Sunstone, because I know the secret of the Sunstone. Upon hearing this, she was clearly angered. Then let's hear it. If you speak even half a word of nonsense, I'll take your life immediately. Indeed, this person was as imposing and inviolable as I remembered. I heard that the god of victory, Enian, thought the Talsha people were very pitiful, so he bestowed the Sunstone upon Talsha, but that's not actually true. Suddenly, soldiers came up and seized me, with an axe blade pressed against my chest. The Queen stared at me coldly. It seems you didn't hear clearly. If you speak nonsense, I'll execute you on the spot, but I smiled. I know who your son is. Her expression changed dramatically. Then she ordered the soldiers to leave the room. Continue speaking, I'll just treat it as listening to a dog bark. Hearing this, I wasn't offended, and directly stated that there's a document about the Sunstone in the Empire's imperial city. Actually, you're the mother of Lydia Toplas. Due to certain political issues, you were driven to this barren northern region. The Emperor, unable to bear it, sent the Sunstone, this divine artifact, here along with you. After hearing my words, she fell silent. Only her staff kept tapping the ground. But I don't have much time left now. After a moment, she said, I didn't seem to be speaking nonsense, but what if I just don't give you the Sunstone? Hearing this, I instantly felt depressed. If you don't give it to me, I'll make the truth public and let everyone know. She laughed instead of getting angry. Do you think anyone would believe what you say? If I eliminate you right here, even fewer people would know about this matter. Hearing this, I didn't dare speak further. And somewhere I didn't know about, someone was so angry they nearly bit through their back teeth. I said, if you kill me, those friends who like me won't let it slide. You know that traveler's live stream, right? She also said she knew that 9 out of 10 travelers get abandoned by their audience and eventually can't even live stream. I think you're that 9 out of 10. Guards, drag him out. I didn't expect her to be so sudden. At this moment, an electronic voice rang out. Ill-mannered bastard. It was the love who tipped 5,000 gold coins to output this electronic voice. The Queen was also stunned by this voice. I seized the opportunity. Your information network is extensive. You should quickly understand that I've been live streaming all along. But she asked what that person just said. I relayed that she hoped the great Queen Talsha would show great mercy. Fortunately, electronic voices aren't directly translated. She looked suspicious. That sentence clearly wasn't that long. I explained she used relatively concise wording. Hearing this, she waved for the soldiers to withdraw. At this moment, the love boss output another voice. This person really can talk nonsense. I immediately translated, she wishes you eternal glory in the future. And I was secretly laughing. Old woman, someone's cursing you and you don't even know, plus you can't kill me. Then she asked how many people watch my live stream. I answered without hesitation, 2,000 people. If they find users on the 5th floor to confirm the truth of this matter, they'll spread the rumors. She interrupted me, you win, no need to provoke me further. I also know that once this matter spreads, everyone will definitely look at me differently. Come here, I'll tell you where the Sunstone is. Shortly after, I left the palace and the wound on my neck was also healed. Only Karen seemed to have left first, saying he had news to tell the travelers. I thank the audience. Thank you, big brothers. Without your tips, I would have failed. Actually, it was all the love boss's doing. She sent another voice message. Don't misunderstand. I just didn't like that queen, but I still have to thank you. Otherwise, I'd be dead for sure. Actually, maybe not necessarily. I would have escaped and then searched slowly. Just don't know if I could have found it. Soon after, I met Ham. You really played me around. Didn't you say you didn't know? Now I've got the queen's permission. Give me the thing. Actually, the Sunstone was at Ham's house, but from his position, he couldn't just give it to me casually. After entering the house, I immediately saw the 3 little ones. They were blacker than before, and the contamination was still spreading continuously. Ham said they were originally kept in the inner room, but in the blink of an eye they ran here. It seems they can still move around. Thinking about this, I took out a magic stone to see if they'd eat it. Ham suddenly approached. Do you know why spirits love eating magic stones? Actually, it's not that they like eating them, but because of instincts carved into their bodies. They eat magic stones to store energy, so when the time comes they can perform rescue. Although he didn't say rescue what, I knew it was the world tree. Soon after we came to a door. Ham told me to turn off the live stream before entering, or I'd die if I wanted to. Although the audience all wanted to see what was inside, I still turned off the live stream. After entering, I saw a dazzling array of books, but Ham said he'd hardly read any. I saw him lift up a bookshelf. then beckoned me to follow in. It seemed no one but him could open this passage. Inside was a staircase passage. Although there wasn't a single lighting tool here, every step could be seen clearly. When we reached underground, I was blinded by the brilliant light. This was the heating device for the entire process, and the thing in the middle was the sunstone I'd been desperately seeking. I watched Ham perform a series of operations. The glass cover was opened. Ham took the thing down and asked if I would regret it. I said I'd only regret it if I couldn't eliminate the demon flower. His hand applied slight pressure. Do you think we aren't? It seems you've already tried. Even if you eliminate that thing, you'll still wake up at the same time. Ham sighed. Perhaps that's just our fate. Her Majesty the Queen probably accepted this before agreeing to give you the thing, and I finally extracted the sunstone. As long as it's something I can do, no matter what, I must try my best. But eliminating the Heart of Seeds doesn't mean the battle is over. Before dying, it will spit out many monsters. Learning that Ham would handle the aftermath for me, I was truly grateful. Ham also sighed, looking at this guy's expression. You'd think he could revive like us. Now it's time to do what we can. Karen emerged from the side. Gather everyone, we're going to war. After receiving the order, Karen cheerfully walked into the house. He was somewhat concerned about Papuas and the others, but the next moment his expression changed dramatically. Meanwhile, on the other user's side, yesterday the warriors' attitudes were all good, but today they casually assigned them a task, and then this floor was considered cleared. Of course, the rewards were also pitifully small. Then a window popped up in front of them. The trial source has generated a teleportation gate. Although the audience would only curse him, Zhang Xiangyuk still opened his live stream. Following the audience's instructions, he came to the city wall. But being nearsighted, he couldn't see the changes in the Heart of Seeds at all. Little did he know the Heart of Seeds had now bloomed 6 petals. Some audience members told him to run quickly. The surrounding warriors were all busy with something. This made the audience very curious. Zhang Xiangyuk said proudly, "You don't tip me gold coins and bully me all day. I might as well just turn off the live stream." Hearing this, the audience rushed to tip him. Quick, follow them. Humming a tune and pulling his teammate, he walked happily on the city wall. Soon he saw that the warriors below the city had assembled. Zhang Xiangyuk was curious. Is this a war between warriors? Some audience members told him to escape, but others wanted him to stay and watch the show. And he was also someone with heavy curiosity. So he patted his chest and guaranteed he'd risk his life to follow this battle. But you understand, right? So he successfully earned another wave. Then he told the woman to go to the teleportation gate first. Just as they were chattering, a pillar of light rose in the distance, shooting straight to the sky. And in a certain room, a woman stared at the screen lying on a sofa. Suddenly the door was opened. "Big brother, what are you busy with? Why didn't you go to the team gathering?" The woman scratched her belly and responded roughly, "I told you not to call me big brother anymore. What's the point of attending those gatherings? They're all just a bunch of guys who don't plan to leave here and only want to enjoy themselves." Red Hair didn't mind. "The love, big brother, you know this place is much better than Earth." Suddenly, a sharp rebuke made Red Hair shut up. "Can you get lost? I'm extremely irritated right now." After Red Hair left, the woman looked worried. "Kim Jae-ju, you're really a madman." And at this moment, I was walking through the snow. To avoid the snowmen, I had no choice but to take a detour. Although I had both the sunstone and gloves on, I still wasn't completely at ease. Finally reaching the Heart of Seeds habitat again, it had now bloomed 6 petals. At this moment, a voice came from the side. "Kanta, you finally arrived. I've been waiting so long I'm tired." I was still wondering how he got here. I saw him lift the bundle in his arms. "I came to bring them to find you." Inside were the 3 sickly little ones. I shouted somewhat angrily, "You clearly know what I came here to do." I didn't want to do this either, but seeing them struggling forward in the cold snow, I couldn't help but want to help them. They seemed to have discovered their master was gone and followed. I reached my hand over. They didn't even have the strength to move. "You should take them back." Hearing this, Papuas and the others shed tears and wrapped me with their fur. I don't know why they're so loyal to me. I hadn't been particularly good to them before, and more often I just used them to climb the tower. I took them over with complex emotions. Karen also said he was leaving. Although he knew he would revive, he didn't want to die too miserably. After he left, I put Papuas and the others in my backpack. Time was of the essence, so I prepared for battle. The Heart of Seeds immediately spat out several black mists. This time the monsters were more numerous and stronger. Using Roton's shoes, I quickly passed through the gaps between them. The Heart of Seeds was right in front of me. As soon as I reached it, I would immediately start attacking. My gloves had already begun charging. A monster blocked my path. I activated the coat's ability, flipped and leaped above the Heart of Seeds. After successfully stabilizing, I continued charging my ultimate move. I had to hurry before the Guardians arrived. Suddenly I felt a coolness on my cheek. Papuas and the others had actually come out. With such frail bodies, why come out now? I saw Lasha smile and call out Papuas to me, as if saying she wanted to fight alongside me. I suddenly felt like crying, but I couldn't relax now. I felt the enormous energy transmitted from the gloves. Blood flowed from my nose and mouth. The Guardians had also arrived behind me. But it was too late, you monsters. With that, a pillar of light shot up to the sky. The surrounding Guardians were swallowed by the light one by one. Then I found myself in darkness. I thought memories would flash before my eyes like a slideshow before death. But I couldn't see anything now, and my eyes felt like they were being burned. I felt my whole body was on fire, about to melt and evaporate the next second. But that kind of pain didn't last long. When I opened my eyes again, I saw a boy with his back to me. No matter how I ran, the distance between us didn't seem to close. When he turned around, I saw clearly. It was my childhood self. At this moment, there was the sound of glass shattering behind me. When I turned around, the light was very dazzling. A massive figure appeared. He shouted Papuas at me, and at Talsha's city wall. Because I blew up the Heart of Seeds, countless black orbs shot from the Heart of Seeds toward the city wall. The black orbs became various monsters upon hitting the ground. Fortunately, Ham had already assembled the warriors. They resisted the monster's invasion. The two travelers were also scared out of their wits, only now realizing they wanted to escape. But there was a huge noise behind them. Driven by curiosity, Zheng Shangyuk still chose to stay and watch. A white light appeared in the deep pit. The outline of that white light looked somewhat like a person. When I first woke up, I saw the audience sending various bullet comments saying I was cheating. Others said they wanted to catch Papuas. And the three little ones were looking at me with tears in their eyes. I sat up abruptly. The love boss told me to turn on mosaic mode, and I was still in shock that I was actually alive. But why had these three little ones become so small? What the audience said was all strange. I looked down at my body. Only then did I discover I was completely naked and wet. The love sent another voice output. No, you need to turn on mosaic mode quickly. It took me a long time to react. I hurriedly turned on mosaic mode. It seems my reputation for life is completely ruined. Looking at the debris on the ground again, fragments of Roton's equipment were still writhing so they could still be used, but the modified gloves seemed completely destroyed. But where did that most important thing go? Suddenly I had a strange thought. Big brothers, could I have eaten the sunstone? These guys actually had the mood to tease me, although they couldn't see my expression now. It turns out when I fired the super magic cannon, I also blinded the audience's eyes. When the scene returned to normal, they saw Papuas and the others lengthen their fur and wrap me up, which is why they became so small, but they were also near death. At that time, Lasha ate the sunstone. Then he licked Kodin and Belin with his saliva, so they miraculously came back to life. Then Papuas and the others licked me when I was dying, and they licked for over 10 minutes. Hearing this made me blush, but I thought about Talsha's situation, wondering if it was still safe now. I just saw many monsters being spat out. Even Barahham couldn't eliminate so many monsters. Then I'll go over now. With a push of my foot, my whole body shot out. This scared even myself. Why could I jump so high? So before long, I appeared above the monster army. Those unfortunate creatures were directly crushed to powder by my powerful impact force. Actually, I didn't want to be so high profile, but it was really hard to control. Before I could think of my next move, the boiling magic power in my body had already surged out ahead of time. Someone told me to go directly to the trial source teleportation to leave. But I don't want to be such a shameless person. Looking at the monsters surrounding me from all sides, I wasn't afraid at all. And Ham under the city wall was watching this way. Karen also remembered that legendary great warrior. Legend says the great warrior wore snow-white fur armor, his whole body radiating dazzling light, and could shatter the ground with his fists. But that was only a figure who would appear in legends. But Ham smiled confidently. That's the savior who can restore Talsha's former glory. At this moment, someone mocked. The Sun Warrior Commander actually still believes such rumors. I advise you to abandon such childish thoughts. That guy must be like a monster wanting to destroy Talsha. Ham and the other looked at him coldly, then continued ignoring him. Karen, with your good memory, you must still remember the great warrior's name. Karen thought for a moment before saying, the great warrior was called Lakanta. The great warrior described in the story looked exactly like this. Those guardians and blue cockroaches that surrounded me were all no match for me in a single exchange. During this period, Talsha's battle level rose to 3. I didn't expect I could still level up in my current state. While I was thinking, those guardians prostrated themselves on the ground one by one. The audience thought they were about to surrender. Then they saw things slowly drilling out from their bodies. Then they turned into sharp spikes. The spikes formed and immediately stabbed at me. To outsiders, I looked like a porcupine. The guardians also laughed strangely. The next moment, my laughter rang out. Papuas's fur caught all the spikes. Are these things gifts for me? Then let me borrow them. As I lifted the borrowed things, those guardians were scared out of their wits, but I still had to return the things to them. Maybe I used a bit too much force. The guardians were pierced through one by one. By the time I finished using the hidden weapons, they were already dead and wounded in large numbers. But I couldn't help but sigh. There really were so many that killing them seemed endless. More reckless monsters surrounded me again. This formation was bigger than before. They were stacking up one by one, not leaving me any gaps. In an instant, my figure was completely surrounded. Karen in the distance was somewhat worried, while Ham was very calm. If he's really Lakanta, our interference would be an insult to him. However, after waiting a while, there was still no movement from inside the monster pile. Karen couldn't stand it anymore, and was about to prepare the magic cannon. Then he saw white light emanating from the center of the monster pile. The next instant, a huge explosion sounded. Scattered rocks flew to distant places, and Karen was so scared he crouched down with his head covered. Ham remained motionless. Actually, even though he'd witnessed Talsha's destruction 10 million times, this was still the first time he'd seen such a situation. The energy storm caused by the explosion gradually subsided. Only then did Ham make a move. We need to go confirm whether that person is really Lakanta. When they approached, they saw a deep pit large enough to bury hundreds of monsters. Ham, without a word, slid down into the pit. Karen, seeing the crowd surging behind him, was also forced to follow. Getting closer, they only saw a figure glowing with white light. Ham was first to ask, "Are you Lakanta?" And the white light on my body gradually faded. Just as I was about to answer his question, I collapsed powerlessly to the ground. Although they didn't see my face, they saw 3 small bundles crawling on me. Both Ham and Karen were stunned. Isn't this Papuas? So this guy is Kanta, not Lakanta. I don't know how long passed before I suddenly woke up. The first thing I did was nervously ask how Talsha was. But seeing the 3 little ones, my mood relaxed considerably. Actually, I had gone in with a resolve to die, wanting to eliminate all those surrounding monsters at once. But as the battle intensified, the magic power in my body gradually boiled, and I unconsciously lost consciousness. But if Talsha had been destroyed, logically I shouldn't be here. And Papuas and the others are all lively and energetic, so there should be nothing wrong. At this moment, Ham walked into the room. You're more spirited than I imagined. Seems like nothing's wrong. I was just about to ask him some questions. A soup spoon was shoved into my mouth, burning me, so I grimaced. In a moment, I finished off the food. Only then did I look at Ham in disbelief. You're saying all those monsters were eliminated by me? Ham also found it hard to believe. In the blink of an eye, they were all gone. And you're not Kanta anymore. Lakanta, may great glory be with you. I was completely confused. Why did you change my name to a dog's name again? He didn't explain further, saying he'd wait for me outside, and I tried moving my body. The 3 little ones were also copying me. I could feel. My body was incredibly light now. Even running to that mountain range would be no problem. Then I put my hand on my chest to feel. The pure magic power that had overflowed before had disappeared, leaving only the original magic power flowing with my consciousness through my body. The magic circulation seemed fine too. Suddenly my body convulsed violently. I spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. I explained to the 3 worried little ones, I'm fine. They still couldn't let it go. Ham also came back into the room asking if I felt unwell. I only said the magic power was a bit strange. There was that kind of power in my body now, but near the heart it would suddenly disappear, causing magic backflow. Ham said Karen was better at this, but as far as he knew, there's no magic power in the heart. It can only circulate natural force. Actually, I could roughly guess. It might be related to eating those magic stones on the first floor. Magic power was originally a force used in magical studies or magic, but I used it as a knight's aura instead. Later I chatted with Ham some more, and outside the house was quite noisy. Sheng Shangyuk was blocked outside and couldn't enter. I happened to walk out from inside. He accidentally saw me. 3 Papuas, isn't that Kim Jeju? I didn't expect there would be so many people. Ham suddenly shouted for Karen. So Karen rushed here. This scene was very much like someone. Then I went into the house with the 2 of them. Sheng Shangyuk shouted even louder, why can he go in but we can't? So what if you're a centurion? Suddenly he shut up, because at this moment a pillar of light shot up from the house straight to the sky. This also caused the magic power in my body to run wild, and now I needed to squeeze them out. Karen said I needed to recall my most memorable experience. Actually, there were quite a few things that left deep impressions on me, but the most recent was seeing my childhood self. Sure enough, my heart immediately reacted, but this power was much stronger than my original magic power. Suddenly, cold sweat broke out all over my body. Then I spat out blood. Both Ham and Karen were very worried, but I couldn't respond to them now. That aura spread through my entire body in an instant, and now I felt like my whole body was on fire. Karen asked urgently, Kanta, can you control that rampaging power? If you can, then release it. Ham said there were still people outside, wondering if there would be accidents. But I knew that if I didn't release the power as Karen said, my body wouldn't be able to withstand it. Thinking this, I raised my hand and gathered those domineering forces in my fist. An explosion echoed through the sky. A pillar of fire shot up to the heavens. After a moment, Karen looked at the big hole in the roof and exclaimed, what beautiful weather today. I don't know how long passed before I opened my eyes. Why could I see stars? Was I in the wilderness? Suddenly a big face blocked my view. Kanta, are you okay? You've been unconscious for a day and a half. Thinking of the moment before I fainted, I sat up abruptly. Did the Sunstone's power hurt anyone? Karen scratched his head and answered, only the warrior commander got hurt. Hearing this, I was somewhat surprised. Was it because of me? Where is he now? Karen pointed at the hole in the roof. Ham appeared before me with a dejected face, holding wooden boards. Turns out he'd been scolded by Lady Shalev and was nursing emotional wounds. After the commotion, I began thinking about the impact I'd caused. If the administrators noticed me, that would be trouble. And there were still over 10 users lingering outside the house. I originally thought everyone had escaped to the teleportation gate, but I was wrong. Actually, the trial source has a system called the Hall of Fame, which ranks users based on task difficulty and other factors. After the 15th floor closes, the Hall of Fame gives rewards to the top 3 and publishes their usernames. Originally, I planned to use the Hall of Fame to attract a wave of audience, and after they followed me, I could get attention rewards. But now I possessed an unknown power, which made me a thorn in the side of those corrupt vested interest groups in the tower. If they noticed me, both Papuas and I would be in danger. This way, the Hall of Fame would become my death warrant instead. What worried me more was that there might already be such people among my audience. Previously, no matter what tricks the administrators pulled, I was confident I could resolve them. But now it's different. The power in my body isn't stable, the mechanical gloves are broken, and the Rodonto equipment is regenerating. Who knows when it'll recover? If someone wants to play tricks, now is undoubtedly the best time to strike. The audience were also curious, because after I woke up, I just kept rolling around on the bed. Fortunately, Papuas could keep these audience members well. I have to say they're really cute. Suddenly I wondered if I could train them into combat power. The next moment I extinguished this thought. After all, I had no confidence in this method, and I really couldn't bear to have them fight. Now there were still 4 days until the 15th floor closed. I had to use this time to make myself stronger. Currently, the most practical thing was to improve Talsha combat techniques. I'd already reached level 4 from fighting monsters before, but passive skills are hard to improve. For this I could only trouble Ham again. He mocked mercilessly. After experiencing such brutal combat, you still don't feel satisfied? But can you handle it in your current state? I retorted. Didn't you say I was like the great warrior Lakanta? I can understand if you're scared, otherwise a fist the size of a sandbag came straight at my face. You'd better think this through. The clothes that protected you before are already broken. Seeing this, I remained stubborn. Last time we sparred, I wasn't wearing those clothes either. Although many people were watching now, I couldn't care about that much. People looking for me would come find me sooner or later anyway. So for the next few days, I sparred with Ham. Finally, the day before the 15th floor closed, my Talsha combat technique improved to level 5. Meanwhile, at a certain place on the 70th floor, the love boss was very unhappy about having to go somewhere. Red Hair didn't know what she was dissatisfied about. Didn't you hear what the administrator said? Earth is about to explode soon. Anyway, be careful when talking to the captain later, because she seems very angry about that matter. Soon the two arrived at a villa. The person they met was none other than Crit's captain. Red Hair Park Jiu asked curiously why the others weren't around. The blonde captain smiled kindly. Recently, everyone's been too busy to gather together. Let's eat first. Oh right, Miss Jiang Xiaoya, I heard you often watch newbie live streams. Jiang Xiaoya glared at Red Hair. That's right. Is there a problem with that? The blonde captain maintained her smile. There's something I think is very suitable for you to do. Jiang Xiaoya saw her smile and knew her mood wasn't ordinary. Let's hear what it is first. There are changes on the 5th floor. I heard not only did they change emperors, but even the residents' mentality changed. Jiang Xiaoya spread her hands, wanting to decline. The blonde immediately stabbed the table with her dinner knife. Jiang Xiaoya was startled. Are you putting on an act now? Are you finding it troublesome? Jiang Xiaoya forced herself to stay calm. What exactly do you want me to do? The blonde captain revealed a sinister smile. If this matter really is a user's doing, then you find a way to eliminate that person. On the last night in Talsha, Papuas and the others ate their fill with open stomachs. It seems the magic stones Karen sent over were of good quality. Since I was leaving tomorrow morning, I should confirm the rewards now. Generally speaking, with administrator interference, the rewards are very generous. What worried me were those guys targeting me. If I live-streamed, it would only reveal more intelligence. But not turning off the livestream would leave them with the impression that I was very vigilant. After thinking for a moment, I decided to make it public. A large gift box appeared out of thin air. The first reward was indeed 5,000 gold coins again. Next was a subspace backpack with a 500 kilograms weight limit. Finally, Roton's leather jacket. I heard that wearing this makes you see double vision. The audience also said this thing was garbage, but I decided to try it on anyway. After putting it on, I looked around. The foresight ability was indeed hard to use. In an instant, I just felt dizzy. Everything in front of me was twisting and swaying. Just keeping my eyes open made me feel sick enough to vomit. I forced down that feeling, then saw Papuas's worried expressions. Their appearance gradually became clear. I got excited for just a moment. The nauseous feeling surged up again. It seems I can only foresee 1 second, and I can't control it well. I'll probably need some time to adapt to this equipment. The next morning, I still couldn't get used to it. Although we might never meet again, I still wanted to say goodbye to Ham and the others, but the streets were completely empty now. I had a bad feeling. Could the 15th floor have already started refreshing? This would explain why the users and Ham and the others were gone. Thinking this, I hurried toward the trial source. Only then did I discover the warriors were all at the entrance of the trial source. Lakanta, may great glory be with you. Cheers rang out one after another. I felt quite embarrassed by it all. Ham said this was their farewell ceremony. But I'm just a traveler. Isn't this too exaggerated? But Ham said I had this qualification. This was a farewell ceremony voluntarily initiated by all Talsha people, carrying the highest honor they could express. Never happened before, and will never happen again. Even someone as strong as me was moved to tears. After saying goodbye to them, my eyes became determined again, although I was reluctant to leave my Talsha friends. This stop ends here, but there's still a longer road ahead. And after this, the atmosphere of the 15th floor completely changed. The Heart of Seeds could no longer be seen outside Talsha. The warriors lived happily every day. That ballad about the great warrior Lakanta spread among the warriors, and at this time on the 10th floor. The city gates were blocked by the so-called Crit team. They were looking for a short-haired man carrying a backpack. Seeing this scene, I also realized my name had spread to higher floors. This was all because of the Hall of Fame rankings, which exposed my identity at once. So I secretly ran to the 16th floor. This was a large-scale trial requiring 30 people to cooperate. Even if someone was targeting me, they wouldn't dare act rashly. The audience saw me being isolated and got anxious. I signaled them to stay calm. Someone should come soon. Sure enough, before long, a message about a user entering rang out. A bearded uncle was somewhat puzzled, clearly still missing one person. How did we get in? After seeing me, he planned to come chat. Why is this guy covering his face? Could he be a fugitive? Although thinking this, he still stepped forward. Can you tell me what your situation is? To this I just apologized. Hearing this, he directly drew his sword. That attitude is a bit troubling. I calmly said I could understand, but I really couldn't say. The bearded uncle softened his tone. Let's talk slowly from the beginning. I'm Lee Shiun, and I boldly declared my name was Kim Jeju. The moment those words fell, the trial began. The stone statue behind me suddenly came to life. Lee Shiun shouted a warning, "Watch your back!" But in the next instant, the statue crumbled into pieces. Lee Shiun was stunned speechless. Others hearing the commotion also looked this way, but only a pile of rubble remained at the scene. I had already walked deep into the trial grounds. To successfully execute my plan, I needed to clear this quickly. No time to deal with them. The audience cursed me as Huang Labu, which is the fusion of Emperor Lakanta and Papuas. Soon after, I walked up to a stone statue holding a stone barrel. I stared at it for a while, then stomped my feet. The statue's 3 eyes suddenly snapped open. The liquid in the stone barrel was bubbling. In the next moment, I was locked in its viper-like deadly stare.